Oh, wait. Thirst for knowledge is...
Clear color.
Alright then.
Color of my skin.
We are up. Everybody okay? Anybody having trouble?
Yeah, hang on.
Is everybody in?
No, not everybody. We got Chris as Dr. Sot. We've got Dave as Lily. We got Liz
There we
as
go.
Trasa.
Come on. Okay,
I think I just heard the Connie Beast arrive somewhere.
There we go. Got in just in time.
Do let me know if my sound makes me sound like I'm a robot. It has been happening a lot lately. I can't hear it myself, so do let me know if that occurs. But,
There we go.
okay, yep, that's Chris B. Connie's in as well. Excellent. Mark apologizes, he'll be a couple of minutes late, but we'll just have to get started. Initially without him. So, with most folks in, I am going to do my usual check. Everybody's in Foundry, everybody can see the screen, everybody can click on their characters and see the character sheets.
Oh, this character sheet is new.
Yes, yes. Oh, hello, here he is. Here's Mark. Excellent.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Just in time. So, whilst Mark is busy logging on, but the first thing I'm going to check is that the link for the invitation link for the game is there in Discord. You just have to scroll up slightly. Everybody who wants to have the ambient music on can link to Sirenscape as well to hear the sinister notes. And just as a warning, there will be sounds coming through Foundry as well. So if some of those sounds are too loud for you, there is an icon in Foundry that's got a musical note. So you hover over it, it says playlists. It gives you 3 different volume controls. So try tinkering with those. If any sounds happen that sound too loud for you, you are able to control the level of the volume at your end of things.
There is one little thing I might have to leave around sort of 4-ish, probably might be a bit earlier.
Then we will endeavour to get this done as quickly as we possibly can. But if you have to bow out, then okay.
Yep.
You'll just have to watch the YouTube video later on to find out what happened. Alright, Mark, you are in. Excellent. Okay.
I'm sorry, my highest skill is fleeing.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But before we do anything else, I am going to turn off the familiar ship rumble. This isn't the usual background music from Sirenscape, you will note, everybody will note. That's intentional, because now we're going to move over to our very special Halloween-specific intro video, so I will see you in a few moments, a few seconds. And hello. Welcome, folks. This is indeed Star Trek USS Combs, but Matt, you'll say, you're not wearing your Admiral's uniform. No, I'm not. Today is a very different type of episode, because it's Halloween soon, and we are playing our Halloween special episode. Now, unfortunately, this is butting in right in the middle of the episode that we were playing, but that's just the way things have happened, unfortunately. So we will resume our regularly scheduled programming next week, but for tonight we are going to be doing our Halloween-y episode, because Halloween is right around the corner, and that's why we are here. So I'm wearing a different outfit today. All will become clear. So the first thing I want to do is, of course, get the usual plugs out of the way. Mr. Powell,
Hello. Nothing too new to report quite yet. Just as always, there's my channel at youtube.com/YetaCrisp. I do a lot of like nostalgic game reviews, many from the PS2 kind of era. I'm working on one right now for Katamari Damacy. That should be out in the next few days, in a week or so. It'll be done when it's done soon. But yeah, so keep an eye out for that one. And that's me, I think. Thank you.
And the other Chris, any more episodes of Solarity to come, or?
Yep, there'll be one next Monday, or probably Tuesday in the UK. Usual stuff. And yeah, things are getting really crazy now.
Well, let's see if we can't do them a bit better tonight, because we have the Combs crew here today, and it's spooky season, so we're going to be doing a very special episode today. So, let's tune out the sinister for just a moment. And let's just give ourselves the familiar ship rumble. Because if everybody's ready to start... Excellent. Then, we will... Thank you for that image on Mark, just completely break my flow. No, that was funny. So, we are on the Navis, currently traveling through space on one of its regular patrols of the area. Someone else just saw Mark's post, yep.
Yep.
Wrong ship.
Wrong ship. Did I say the Navis? Curse me. We are on the Combs, I do beg your pardon. The Navis are going to be getting this later. Yeah. We are on the USS Combs, traveling through space on one of its regular patrols of the area near the Shackleton Expanse. So it's just a routine patrol. Things are rather quiet. And as such, at the moment, it's Beta Shift who are on for the time being. And therefore, the majority of Alpha Shift, you guys, have got some time to kill. And about the time you got up this morning, you each noticed that there was a message left for you by Lieutenant Commander Lian Zhang, your Chief Helm Officer. And she has proposed a kind of a special day. Now, your first instinct when you opened this was, oh no, because the title of the missive from Lieutenant Commander Lian Zhang was Team Building Day. And that usually elicits a groan, because it's like, oh, great. We don't have to do one of those stupid things where we, like, sit around a table, or, you know, we go kayaking together or something. But, interestingly enough, Lieutenant Commander Zhang promises a more interesting time of things, but doesn't want to spoil the surprise, and so has requested that everybody join her outside of the holodeck. So she rounds you all up and starts walking you to the holodeck. And she has got a data pad in her hand that she's furiously tapping, and she is kind of walking semi-briskly down the corridors as she's escorting you all towards the holodeck. And the idea of team building, yes. Trust games, yes.
And I'm
I
usually
will
the
catch
one
you.
Yes.
So, as she's escorting you, she kind of turns around to face you all and is walking backwards, making her presentation. Okay, so, I know things have been a little tense recently, what with everything that's been happening with the strangeness with Admiral Stoker, the whole stress with the Klingons at the moment. I thought it would be a good idea for us to do something to unwind. And, as it happens, back on Earth at this present moment in time, it is Halloween. Or at least it is in most of the Western Hemisphere. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to try something different as a form of relaxation, team-building exercise. I ran it past the captain, and he's fine with it. He thinks it's a great idea. So that's what I want to introduce you all to today. So, rather than any of those regular, boring team-building exercises where, you know, you all have to, I don't know, slap a note on each other's foreheads and you try and guess what the other person's... you try and guess who you are because the other person can see and all that stupid stuff, or talk about our feelings or things like that. No. I actually found a perfect holodeck program. You see, around about Earth on this time, on the Western hemispheres, or the northwestern European hemispheres too, they used to celebrate the whole coming of autumn and winter by doing this a strange celebration where everyone would celebrate the coming of the longer, darker nights by dressing up as monsters or as creepy characters, and would tell each other ghost stories, or would watch like scary movies and stuff like that.
Oh, I know what this is.
Yeah.
It's Easter.
Lieutenant Zhang looks at her pad. No, sorry.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
This holiday was actually called Halloween. All Hallows Eve, or Halloween. Halloween. Boy, people didn't know how to spell properly back in those days. So,
yes, I believe I've heard of this custom.
yeah, to those of you who aren't human, this seems kind of a strange custom. Why on earth would you celebrate the coming of the darker nights by deliberately scaring each other? Surely you would get around a campfire in large numbers and celebrate, I don't know, for happier things, and not spook each other out now that the darker nights are drawing in. It makes very little sense. But you just kind of chalk it up to one of those, oh, humans, kind of things.
It's called Halloween. Halloween. That's how you pronounce it.
Zhang looks at her pad again. No, I'm pretty sure that's not how you pronounce it, according to this, but hey, what do I know?
Huh?
Anyway, I was looking for something for us all to do. And unfortunately, I have drawn Watch Rota, so I can't actually do this with you, but I figured it would be fun for somebody to do for this special type of festive occasion. So I found the perfect holosuite program. Bit of investigation, bit of mystery, bit of weird chills kind of stuff. Nothing too heavy, but stuff where you basically have to work together to try and solve a problem, a mystery. So, this holosuite program was based on an old, early 20th century Earth screenplay, which was their whole two-dimensional entertainment thing, where they didn't have three-dimensional entertainment yet, so they had to make do with watching something in 2 dimensions on a screen. And so they used to produce plays and things for their 2-dimensional entertainment called screenplays. And this screenplay that the holosuite program was, the holodeck program was designed from, was made by an unknown author. So they never found out who had made it. So it's got this air of mystery surrounding it already, which I thought was really cool. So, yeah, you are all going to play the part of characters set in very early 20th century, looks like European city. So, we're going to take a stop off at the costume room just around the corner from the holodeck, and I've already picked out all of your costumes. I have already pre-created characters for each of you, based roughly on what I see you in the setting as. I've tried to equate some of your personality traits or some of your natural skills and focuses, skill sets, as closely as I can to something that would be relevant to the time period that the story is based in. So, as such, you each have different methods of employment or occupations, basically, to do with the time frame that's going to be in. So, and she pulls to a stop outside of the holosuite. There's the changing rooms. Each of your costumes have been pre-labeled for each of you. If you'd care to step in and get yourself all made up, ready. So everybody pretty much finds costumes for them, and so for Tavish and Gurkow especially, you find these long skirt dress objects because it's basically 1930s style. So, Gurkow especially is like, how the hell am I expected to run or even properly walk in this? And let's not talk about the boots with the heels. Nevertheless, it's like, all right, let's just be game.
You humans enjoy torturing yourselves.
Yeah.
Now I'm just curious what Hopkins has.
Hopkins has got more like a kind of a pantsuit type thing going on with the whole like long duster coat with a fedora hat kind of thing going on. So it's this interesting amalgam of like male and female styles that were around at the time, but there's a hat. There's like a it's very Dixon Hill type look for Hopkins. Phlesc, he's got the full the full suit and even the little dinky bow tie, the little dinky tie. Garrow has got a lot more casual attire, but has got like this like leather bomber jacket, kind of really thick jacket that's got all these various badges and stuff with aeroplane motifs and propeller icons all over it. Tavish, as I said, is just like Gurkow is wearing fashionable ladies' wear for the time, whereas Dr. Sot is wearing very much a gentleman's outfit, almost complete with not quite a tailcoat, but certainly a long gentleman's coat and cravat, that kind of very high society type of look to him.
Can I ask?
I'm wearing... sorry.
So let's have Dave first.
Can I be wearing a hat?
Of course you can be wearing a hat.
Oh, great. Fantastic.
Chris, you were going to say something?
I just want to paint the picture so everyone knows going forward that if I'm wearing a long coat, I'm going to be turning around very dramatically a lot. The entire
Yeah, with the long skirt, I'm going to be doing that too.
Swish. Okay.
I feel like I'm in one of Tom Paris's Captain Proton. You didn't play this beforehand, did you?
If Garrow is asking Zhang, going, no, actually, no, I haven't had the chance to, which is a pity, but there we go. I'll just get you started with it, and then I gotta go take watch with Beta Shift. But yeah, Zhang is kind of enthusiastically pointing Garrow towards something else that's in his costume bag. Garrow pulls it out and finds a false, long, twiddly moustache. I assure you, Lieutenant, it was all that kind of facial hair was all the rage at the time.
Hopkins is gonna be looking through hers, trying to see if she has one.
You're all very curious about me wearing this, aren't you? Okay. Very well.
Garrow now has a long, curly moustache. You're not sure how you feel about it.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question, Lieutenant?
Sure.
Am I allowed to, do engineering stuff in this?
Well, hold on. Let's just take this. If I tell you anything, I might ruin the surprise.
No. No. Whatever you've got planned. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about every.
Are you asking if you can bring your hyper spanner in, Lieutenant?
No. I don't want to bring my hyper spanner in. I just want to know if I can wear this on like
Are you trying to ask if you can wear this on duty?
Maybe. Look, yeah. I may be like mean to everybody and stuff, yeah. But I am a girl. I like girly things sometimes, okay?
Swish.
And I look really pretty.
Yeah, it's all cinched in at the waist and everything.
Only if I can wear this every day with the mustache.
Hopkins now demands a moustache. Okay.
Also, Lieutenant, I don't think it's called Halloween. I think it's called Avril Lavigne.
I'll have to look it up. Anyway, well, let's just, if everyone's dressed, then let's get everyone into the holodeck. So, needless to say, in you stroll to the holodeck. Lieutenant Zhang is standing outside going, I'd like to be in there with you just to take you through the initial setup, but it might spoil the immersion a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be out here, outside in the corridor, and I will use the comm system to talk you through the initial bits, and then as soon as you're comfortable, I will leave you to it, and yeah, have fun. So I'll speak to you through the comm system. Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Excellent.
I can hear you.
Okay. Well, if everybody's ready, I suppose we can get this thing started. So, one last check. Let's, okay. Computer, activate noise suppression. Okie dokie. And, let's get this thing going. Computer, activate program. So, the holodeck, of course, changes to be the environment that you find yourself in now. Okay, right, so everything is ready. So, computer, activate ambience. Alright, so, this is the setup. You are each semi-professional paranormal investigators, as it were, but you have been each asked to help a wealthy merchant magnate with a missing persons case. So, this is the floor of the man who is going to be giving you the mission, as it were, for this particular story. So, this is the mansion of Sir William Madron. This story is based in the... Let me see my notes. This is based in the European Welsh city of Greyhenge during the 1930s of that Pacific period and locale. So, this is Lord Madron's manor, and this is where he has set you to meet him in order for him to give you the mission at hand. So the first thing I am going to give you is the first thing you need to know is that you are all playing characters, and your characters have been created in such a way that you can interact with the program at various different levels. The way you can check to see what your character's abilities and statistics are is if you double tap your hand, either your left or your right, it doesn't matter. You can either double tap it with the same fingers on the same hand, or just double tap it with the fingers of the opposite hand. It doesn't matter. Either way, it should bring up what's called the statistics sheet. This is a meta in-game way of representing the fact that each of you can double left-click on your characters to bring up the character sheet. So that when each of your characters does actually tap their hand, it brings up the character sheet that we are seeing with this game. Okay, so like I said, I tried to create characters that were fairly close to what I saw you as, but also were pertinent to the type of time period, and I also tried to make sure that you each had skills and professions and knowledges spread across as wide an area as possible so that you don't miss any of the clues or information that is out there for you to find. So, what you'll see is that your characters each have ratings in various skills. The ones on the left are your investigative skills, and the ones on the right are general skills that pretty much everybody has the capacity of doing. It's just that those with ratings in them will find themselves better able to do it than those without. More often than not, investigative skills, the ones on the left, are always there, always present, and as long as you actually have such skills, any clues in the environment that somebody with that kind of skill set would notice will immediately be brought to your attention in some visual or auditory fashion by the program. So as such, if there are any instances where you need to physically interact in some fashion with the environment or with the program, like, say, you get accosted by a burglar on the street, and normally some of you are a lot better fighters than some of others, so in order to try and balance things out, you have each got ratings in something called scuffling, which is what you use for hand-to-hand combat, whereas if you manage to grab a weapon, like a knife or a club or a stick or something, you would use weapons. So the higher your rating in that, the better able you are to actually get into that kind of situation and perform better at it within the confines of this particular program. So, you also have ratings on the far left side of each of your characters. These are sanity, stability, and health. So this is particularly spooky stuff you might end up coming across, and some of these things may challenge your character's perception of how important they are in the universe and humanity as a whole, and may challenge some of their assumptions about how reality works and stuff like that. So such things may start taking a toll on your stability or heavens forfend, your sanity. So if either of those gets too low, then your character is basically lost to their insanity. Whereas health is more of a numerical representation of your character's physical ability to take punishment. And if it ever gets down to -12, then your character has unfortunately suffered a fatal blow, and that's you out of the game, I'm sorry. If it does come into something in regards to a physical scuffle or some kind of fight, you also have what's called a hit threshold. That is the number that will have to be equaled or exceeded for another character to actually strike yours. Most people have one at 3. Those with particularly high ratings in athletics will have it slightly higher. So,
I assume the safety protocols are on.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, I was Lieutenant. I'm almost offended.
Just
This is supposed to be just
checking.
a bit of fun. Of course, I'm not going to disable the safeties. Jeez. So, any questions before I start the program? Okay. Alright, so if everybody's ready, then, computer, load in the character of Sir William Madron. Hang on. I keep forgetting that. So, William Madron appears. There he is. Excellent. Okay. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh! Of course! I almost forgot the most important thing of all. Computer... Initiate... Filter.
Love it.
Okay, if everyone's good, I am going to just watch silently from back here, just to let you go through the initial bit. So, good luck.
So,
Hello?
Hello.
can I have maybe like can I make an appointment now for some therapy after this?
Yeah, by all means. I have a feeling my schedule's about to get very busy.
Okay.
This is Captain Proton.
Okay, so. You have essentially now been given free rein, and the man or the hologram of the man who was brought before you is there standing up against his desk and looks very pensive, very thoughtful, and turns around to you. Ah, I see you're here at last. Good. Well, let's get to business, shall we? You've all been brought here for a reason. Give me just a second, I've just noticed that things are not playing. There we go. Some of you may know me, others might not. And it's at this point that some of you have a little, like, flashing, almost light appear on the palm of their hand that they use to double tap to bring up their character sheet. Those of you with Streetwise, or what was the other one? Streetwise or accounting, or what was the other one? I think it was bureaucracy. Let's go with that. Anybody with those as investigative skills or skills in general, as soon as you tap the light that's flickering on and off on your hand, it comes up with a little text display, not too far from your eye line, which lists Sir William Madron. Gives a snapshot of his face, which is mirrored by the character that you're talking to, and gives a quick rundown of information on him, saying that he is indeed a merchant who is rather rich, made his fortune in shipping, basically, and has turned the port town of Greyhenge into quite a success story, and as such the majority of the town's wealth is owed very much to Sir William himself. So he's a very wealthy and potentially influential man in the town of Greyhenge. And when you're done with that piece of information, you just kind of close your fist, and the little information window collapses away from you. So he continues. I am a man of means, it is true. But, like many, I am also mortal. And as I get on in my years, I am drawn more and more towards thoughts of legacy. Those of you who know of me may have heard the name Madron before, but rather in a more derogatory tone. Because, ultimately, The name that makes the tabloids more than my own is that of my son, Johann. Unfortunately, my boy isn't, or at least wasn't, the kind of person who one would hand over the reins of a very successful merchant delivery company to. There are many tabloid stories about his drunken behavior and his hedonistic lifestyle. So I was for a while despairing. Until recently, when my son confessed to me that he had finally found religion and had joined a church. Something which gladdened me to hear. Apparently this church was very exclusive, containing many noteworthy individuals, of people of strong character and success. And so I encouraged him to go to this Church of Our Lord in Orpiment, as they call themselves. And that is where the tale gets more sinister. For recently, the church and all of its congregants disappeared. The building itself remained standing where it was, but everyone who was in attendance, priests and congregation alike, suddenly vanished. My son amongst them. Whether or not he has turned over a new leaf or been inculcated into some kind of nefarious cult of personality, I have no clue. Neither do I particularly care. The police have claimed that they have searched as far and wide as they care to. A man of my influence, however, is not used to hearing the words, "Best leave us to handle it. Don't ask too many questions." Understand, I have been almost singularly responsible for bringing about the fortunes that this town enjoys. So having doors shut in my face when I have been inquiring as to the status of the investigation to find these missing people, including my son, when I am told to drop it, I begin to grow suspicious. Something strange is definitely afoot. But unfortunately, in order to find out what is going on, I need outside parties to help me, and that would be where you come in. I need individuals who are currently outside of the current law and have no connections to the town in order to investigate, to see if you can find where my son has been taken. I can promise you a wage, £20 a day. If you undertake this, I will also allow you to take up lodging within my son's apartment, one of the places that I recommend you go to in order to investigate, to see if you can find any clues as to his current whereabouts. The only other location I can give you to investigate would be the location of the church and its prior establishment. Though it is abandoned, fresh eyes may yield fresh clues. So, are we in agreement?
Sounds interesting.
Yes, boss.
Excellent.
Hips
I have
fedora.
assembled... What was that, sorry?
Sorry, that's me coughing.
Okay.
Hips the fedora.
I have here a file, and he grabs a manila file, which is not that thick, and hands it to whoever wants to take it from him. This is everything I've been able to glean thus far about the Church of Our Lord in Orpiment. It is, sadly, not much, but hopefully it'll be of some use to you. Okay, computer freeze program. Okay, so this is an information package that Sir William has given you. It has information pertaining to the organization of the Church of Our Lord in Orpiment. So what this essentially gives you is what's called a pool of points, 2 points in fact, to use on anything to do with investigating or trying to find clues in regards to this organization. Basically, like I said, the investigative skills you have represent your character's ability to, or their profession, the things they know, the things that they are skilled with, the means by which they can discern things from the environment, from the clues they've gotten. But spending extra points on things may yield better results on the very subject matter that you're spending points on. So in this instance, any investigation or any skill set that you're using to investigate clues specific to the church in question has a pool of points that you can delve into if you wish to gain a little bit of extra information. So if you open up the folder, you should see what information is contained within. Whoever has it can and does do so, and even though technically it's just a file folder with bits of paper in, they are kind of glowing a bit to let you know that there is a clue present. And as it does, it also has a little icon with a name of the specific skill that is to do with finding out of using your character's skill to find more information. So the first page contains what looks like a profile of a woman. This woman, it's only a headshot, as it were, of this woman, but she is a Caucasian female with shoulder-length white hair, thick black-rimmed glasses, not that you can tell with the color filter that's on everything. But she has a very narrow face, very severe look to her, and the name on the page says Professor Esme Merchand. And there are little floating icons above the piece of paper that indicate that anybody with archaeology, anybody with occult, and let me think, anybody with anthropology, and anything else. No, that about does it. Any of those skills, any of you who have those skills on your characters, will have these little icons that are like hovering above the page. If you press them, you get a screed of information. So those of you who have the skills that I mentioned, archaeology and whatnot, gives you a lowdown that Dr. Esme Merchand was apparently the daughter of a French nobleman who was something. She became something of a well-known scholar of history and an archaeologist who liked to spend her money by putting together archaeological teams and going around the world on archaeological digs. Her last known expedition, according to the file folder and the screed of information that you've got for those of you who have got the requisite skills, says that her last expedition was to the remote mountains of Afghanistan, where she then promptly ceased being a member of a number of prominent universities and scientific institutions and pretty much vanished. Thereafter. Anything else? Oh, that'll do for now. Okay, so that's a representation of your characters having the skills necessary to discern clues from the file folder that you've just read. So, computer, unpause program. So, you now have the possibility of either asking Sir William more questions, but that's entirely up to you. You now have a choice of 2 locations to visit. Now, the program isn't sophisticated enough, for whatever reason, they just, I suppose, didn't code it in, so that if you just plain leave this area, you'll see the whole view of outside. All they've got is a list of locations that you are able to visit within the context of the story. So, if you want to leave this location and go to a different location, you just have to walk up to the door and tap it, and you should get a couple of options available to you. So if somebody wants to walk up to the door just to see... Excellent. Pressing the door gives you those 2 options. And sure enough, Phlesc, when he goes up to the door and presses it, you get some floating boxes which says, do you want to visit the son's apartment or the abandoned church? So, like I said, they didn't program anything in for any kind of transitional states between the locations, so if you want to leave this place and go straight to one of the available locations, you can choose to do so. I guess I will leave you to it.
Don't have any questions for Sir William. Should we go to the son's apartment?
No. Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, then just select the next location, either the son's apartment or the church, and you can just get going. I will sign off for a bit, but I'll still be watching.
Oh.
Okay, so you have a choice of 2 locations, the son's apartment or the abandoned church. Where would you like to go?
I would have thought the son's apartment first, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
that's one vote.
Particularly behind.
Gives us a chance to set up a base there.
Right. Let me move us to the son's apartment. Okay, so the scene just switches, and you are now in the son's rather expensive for the time apartment. It is quite expansive and contains a lot of decor, but a number of places and items around the place are now glowing with light, letting you know that there are clues in the environment. One of which is the door itself, the doorknob. There is a lamp on the floor. There's what looks like a glowing light coming from somewhere near around the back of a chair. And there's also a glowing light emitting from a mirror, which is hanging on a wall nearby.
Ooh, Phlesc wants to check out the glowing chair.
Alright, so. Phlesc. What have you got? Ooh, nice. So, as Phlesc gets closer, the light, as Phlesc is nearing the source of the light, a little box floats up which says evidence collection, which suggests that it's using Phlesc's evidence collection skill. Anybody else who has evidence collection will get a similar thing happen to them.
Ooh, who else has got evidence collection?
No, that's me.
Yeah, I don't.
It's in the technical investigative skills. So Hopkins has got it. Tavish does not, and the others already have established that they don't. So When any of those who don't have evidence collection or streetwise, anybody who's got streetwise and comes up to it also notices a little box hovering over which will say streetwise rather than evidence collection. But it's letting you know that those with those specific skills can have a look at this light and discern a clue from it.
Evidence collections 2. Has anyone got higher than 2? Perhaps you should do it.
Oh,
Otherwise,
I
I'll
have
interact.
4.
Woohoo!
Ooh, I'd say Gurkhal's gonna collect some evidence.
Wait.
Cool. So, the brightness of the light doesn't change depending on what level of evidence collection you've got, but either way, those who go to pick it up, as you pull back the chair, you notice that there appears to be a leather wallet on the floor. It's just broken open. Not broken, but it looks like it's just landed and fallen open.
Dips.
So claiming it, you notice that it is a pretty well-used wallet, and there is an identity card in it. The card shows a very old-fashioned picture of a very rough-looking man with scars down his face and a couple of craggy craters in his face, and the name says Bran McFadden. As soon as whether or not I'm assuming Gurkhaw just basically says, look what I got. Bran McFadden. As soon as the identity card and or the wallet is held up for everybody to see, everybody who has streetwise suddenly has their palm flashing. As this test, or that the skill streetwise is now pertinent to this particular clue. Everybody who has streetwise suddenly gets a screen of information that you can tap on, which shows that Bran McFadden is a known Irish gangster who has been known to be basically an organised crime boss in the area of Greyhenge, specifically around the docks. He and his gang have been known to frequent. So, anybody with locksmith can have a look at the door. And we'll find that as they
do not.
Anybody with locksmith, let's see. I think it's
I do
Hopkins.
It would help if I unmuted.
Yeah, it does help if you don't.
I was asking which door?
The front door, the door that you didn't exactly come through, but you started at. So, the door itself, the doorknob appears to be missing a few screws, which are lying on the floor. Anybody here with forensics, when you go up to the lamp, the broken lamp, which is lying to one side, as soon as you move over towards the broken lamp, a little icon will float above it saying forensics, and anybody with such skill can just depress the hovering note, and the information suggests that this lamp looks like it was knocked over in a scuffle.
So it
Those
sounds
with
like a little bit mixed up with the gangsters, huh?
Those with evidence collection and or forensics can go up to the mirror, and a little notification will hover up next to that.
I have forensics.
Cool. When you get close to it, it seems to suggest an outline of markings on the mirror, and the little hint that's bobbing up and down there says breathe on it.
Ooh. Hidden message.
I'll take a breath.
Okay, so as Sot breathes onto the mirror, of course the mirror fogs up, and as it does, you notice there is some kind of symbol has been kind of like drawn onto the mirror, probably by someone licking their finger and scrawling on it. But not only is there a strange star-like symbol, there's also 4 words has been scrawled onto the mirror. Put me back together. The mirror also seems to be slightly askew.
Is the mirror itself in one piece?
Yes,
Is the mirror askew or the words askew?
the mirror is askew. The words are lined up fine.
The mirror. Yeah. Okay. Shall we straighten the mirror and what first?
Straightening the mirror, you kind of hold on to it and kind of pull it in order to try and realign it on its hook. And that's when you notice what looks like a safe behind the mirror.
Ooh.
And anybody with locksmith will have a glowing orb indicating that this is something for you. So once again, Hopkins, this will be down to you.
Oh, yay. Alright, what do I have to roll?
No, you don't. So
Okay, good.
as Hopkins gets closer to it, the little icon floats just above the safe, which when you press it, it says, it puts a little screed of info that says, this lock looks unusually complex and seems set for a specific type of key. As
Sorry,
well
look
as
at-
what looks like, sorry, I forgot to read this last bit, a specific key, but there's also the usual dial knob for the number we use to input the safe number. Looking around, let's see, I can see Gurkow is basically going around. Yeah, anybody with evidence collection or forensics can look around, and you will eventually stumble upon the coat that's been hooked near the front door. When you get close to it, the pocket glows lightly, as if it's trying to tell you there's a clue in there. When you go up to it, you find 2 things in the pocket. You find a bejeweled key and a banknote.
Ooh, what's the banknote say?
Well, anybody with accounting will get a little clue prompt. Does anybody here have accounting?
Not me.
I do.
I think I do as well.
Yep, so Dr. Sot, or Sotson, as you've called him. I didn't notice that until just now.
I can't take credit. That was from the beautiful mind of Gurkow.
Haha. Sotson. I love it. Yeah, as soon as you get close to the banknote, those with accounting get a clue prompt themselves. And it says the serial number is very odd. It doesn't resemble that of a banknote found at this specific time period. In fact, the numbers look scrawled on rather than printed.
Is that something we can give to Hopkins to try and open the safe. Could be the combination.
Indeed. So, with a key and a note with a strange set of numbers on, Hopkins with locksmith is getting a clue prompt from the safe again. No roll is necessary. You are assumed by having the skill to have the skill to stick a key in a lock and turn the combination, which you do. And with a click, the safe opens. Within the safe, you find a book, a very old book, leather-bound, with a very heavy spine and front and back cover. Looks as if it's been around for a long, long time. Those of you with occultism, I think? What was it? Let me see if I can remember
Tavish?
who that was.
Yeah.
Tavish, because she's
plus library use and history
Right,
as well.
yes. So, those with occult will recognize the book, and a little prompt comes up as a result. The book is known as De Astris and was penned by a Pernell Flamel. But when the book is opened, a letter falls out. The letter contains a message written in English, but also a set of numbers. 4 sets of numbers, to be exact. The words go as follows. I can't conscience being part of what they're planning, and they know it. So I took something from them. Something key to stopping what they intend. If they take me, know that I have hidden important pages from the book in 4 different locations. Those of you with geology will recognize the numbers as coordinates. If Garrow, with his geology, grabs a map, which just happens to be on a table somewhere that you can grab, a table showing the layout of Greyhenge Town, when Garrow sets it down, 4 locations will have little lights over them that correspond to the coordinates, suggesting that Garrow's geography. Apparently his study of rocks tells him exactly where to go. Garrow's geography brings up the clues of 4 different locations on the map, which suggests a library, a museum, a science exhibit, and an art gallery. There you go.
Ooh.
So, what would you like to do?
Library, museum, science exhibit, art gallery. Do we just sort of go through them systematically?
Let's not forget that you also haven't visited the church yet.
Very true.
Are there any more clues we can look around here now?
Yeah, did we investigate the broken lamp?
You did investigate the broken lamp. Anyone with forensics would have found that it showed signs of a struggle in this apartment.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
That's fine. You know, it's always good to go back over the clues.
So what have we learned? That this fellow is probably mixed up with these, like, Irish gangsters. They're planning something big. He conscientiously objected and they snatched him away, but not before he left some clues behind.
Is there any other clue? Because the mirror said what put me back together, but I don't think straightening the mirror.
Oh, that's a good point.
Amplifies that.
Those with
put together the-
occultism or art history will recognize that pages are missing from the big book De Astris. That would have been obvious when you opened it and the letter fell out.
Well, these pages are in these other locations, aren't they? So, I mean, we can have a look here before we go, but we have to go to the church first, and then to the other places. I think it means putting these pages back into this very old book.
That name, De Astris, suggests astronomy, which I have. But can I take a close look at that book?
Sure. The book, when you look at it, does suggest at first something to do with the stars, but when Garrow looks at it with astronomy, you recognize none of the constellations suggested within the book. So basically, the Garrow says, "I want to use astronomy," and double taps his own palm to bring up his character sheet, essentially, and selects the relevant skill. At which point it comes back with the message, you know, the stars you do not recognize.
Intriguing.
Can I use library use on the book or history on the book?
You can try. What are you looking for
Yeah.
specifically?
The name of the author and the book itself to see if it's
Okay. So something like art history or library use will indeed help anybody who wants to try and do it in order to bring up something. The information you find is that De Astris was written by somebody called Perenelle Flamel, and the book was allegedly supposed to be some kind of fanciful examination of distant stars. The fact that somebody with astronomy like Garrow cannot actually recognize said stars is a bit weird. But nevertheless, the book had something to do with assessing stars for signs and stuff like that, but it's mostly considered to be a work of basically old astrology, superstition type of stuff. But hints is supposed to hint at what's the best way to describe this? Hints at places heretofore undiscovered. There's a lot mentioned about star constellations and their specific arrangement, but you can't make much head or tail of it. Because what you're used to is more a case of excuse me. What you're used to is more a case of, you know, stars are things to navigate by. And that doesn't seem to be what this book is suggesting. Okay. Yes.
With the information we've got, then we need to take this book. We have some clues about what's happened here.
Yep.
So, church next, I think.
Everybody in agreement?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Abandoned church, yeah.
Abandoned church.
Agreed.
Abandoned church, all ye who enter here. No, wait, that's wrong. Okay, walking up to the door, you get a selection of different locations, more than just two this time. So, as well as the choice of the son's apartment or the abandoned church. Well, that's obviously not possible because you're not here. So. Sorry. The choice is the abandoned church. or Sir Madron's Manor, but that has now been added to by these other locations that you can visit. And you are determined to go to the church. So let's do that. And since you have discovered those clues, let's also give you the other locations. Oh, so what do I have so far? Okie dokie. So, yep, hello. Let's see what
Sorry,
we got.
no, that's me. There we go.
Entering into the church. So. Entering in, the place is deserted and clear of any life. Your footsteps very noisily clatter across the floor. There are pews in certain locations, and there's a pulpit. There's a cross in the middle. Doesn't suggest a terribly big church, but there's enough for a reasonable congregation here. What was that? Be right back. Alright, yeah, let's go. So, there are a number of old flyers decorating the parts of the church at the far side from where you came in. And some clue lights are hovering around near the pews, as well as part of on the something on the wall, which is a bit difficult to make out at first unless you go closer to look. So, those with evidence collection will find a load of old flyers that are all to do with the Church of Our Lord in Orpiment, but some are dated a lot more than others. And a good many of them have different addresses on them, suggesting that the church has moved location numerous times in the past. Anybody with forensics going near the pews will find some evidence of use, like scuffs and whatnot, but curiously, few signs that the pews were used regularly. And finally, anybody with languages, specifically those with languages Latin, will recognize some text on a wall.
Carpe diem?
No. When you get up close, you find that it actually says, "Indeed, it's time. We all have laid aside disguise but you." Anybody with art history may attempt to identify this just by saying that they've got art history.
I have art history.
Cool. The two of you recognize this passage. I'll say it one more time. "Indeed, it's time. We all have laid aside disguise but you." This is a passage from a play called The King in Yellow, specifically Act 1, Scene 2, where another character called Casilda is asking one character called The Stranger to take off his mask. Indeed, now that you look, next to the graffiti there is a picture of a mask scrawled onto the wall. Ooh, and that was a brilliantly timed musical sting. So, with all this information, what would you like to do?
What kind of mask is it? like a ballroom mask or like a
No,
spooky
it's
mask,
fairly
or-
simple. It's fairly featureless as well, but it's just there drawn in what looks like yellow paint. I mean, that's the odd thing as well, is that you've got this color filter on everything, but you can definitely see that the mask is definitely painted yellow.
Does anybody know the story?
Of the King in Yellow?
Yes.
Anybody with... Well, those of you with art history that I noted before. The King in Yellow was this play which had a bit of a reputation. It was banned numerous times, apparently, all across Europe, which, of course, just made collectors of such things want to find it all the more. There was a bit of a sinister reputation to the King in Yellow. It was reputed to drive anybody who read its first act to impulsively read the second act, and anybody who managed to successfully read all three acts would be driven mad. That's the rumor and legend behind the King in Yellow.
So what other evidence do we have around us, apart from the mask?
So you've got the old flyers, which suggested that the church has moved numerous times. There's the pews, which show too little evidence of use. And there's the graffiti on the wall, which says something, as well as the depiction of a mask, not far from the graffiti. In fact, the yellow mask does appear to be glowing a bit.
I would say, with cryptography, can I have a closer look at the graffiti, see what else?
Yeah, sure. Cryptography reveals that it's somebody basically literally scrawled with a paintbrush those words in Latin, but it looks like it's not a recent thing. It's definitely been there for some time.
Is it worth having someone with geography to look at the previous locations and look for any significance in where the church used to be?
You could. Also, I will suggest anybody with a reasonably high conceal can actually... who has got reasonably high conceal?
I have 0, but not me.
Cool.
Nope.
Conceal is actually a general skill, not an investigative skill, so anybody can use it, but anybody with a high rating in Conceal could potentially try something.
I've got 5.
Yep.
Ooh.
That'll be yours.
Alright. Tavish goes up, and indeed, the closer Tavish gets to the graffiti and the picture of the mask, the picture of the mask itself glows, suggesting a clue. And when you look at it closer, you realize that the brick that the mask is painted over looks like it's less solidly in place than others. In fact, it looks like you could push it.
I'm going to push it. Because
Right.
my drive is curiosity. So
Indeed. So, Tavish pushes the block that's got the brick that's got the mask painted on it, and it does yield and goes in like a switch. There's a sound of grinding brickwork as a section of the wall peels back and then slides to one side, revealing a secret door. And a set of stairs going down. Over the stairs, of course, hovers a display similar to when you want to leave a location through a door, but this one just says below the church, or beneath the church, I should say.
Spooky crypt, anyone?
sounds like a plan.
All right. So everyone's going beneath the church. So let's change the ambience. As the scene switches, I hope. Let's try that again. No, that's... No, wait, what's going on? Did I accidentally take it away? Let's try that one more time. There it is. Boip. So as you appear on the stairs that are leading down into this sub-basement level, just as you start to come down, I'm going to stop you there, a banner unfurls from the ceiling just as you take your first steps into the main part of this room. And the banner just unfurls and presents itself before you all, showing a symbol. And as it does, the room for each of you just seems to go in and out of focus for a bit. And you feel physically like your center of balance is wavering. And I am going to ask you all to give me sanity checks, and how you do this is opening up your character sheets. You can go at it one of two ways, but the easiest way is if you find sanity on your list of general skills, you will see the rating. There's a plus and minus button. Then there's an icon of a dice with a +0 next to it. If you press that, it will roll your sanity. The difficulty will be 4 and above. So Sotson fails his sanity check. Trasa fails his sanity check.
Same as anyone.
Gurkow succeeds. Tavish succeeds. Phlesc fails.
Right, we
Get-
stood like under the banner.
Can you get my name right, please?
Lady Midnight, okay.
Yeah, you need to get my Draza's name correct. It's Detective.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Detective Trasa. Dr. Sotson fails. Detective Trasa fails. Gurkow succeeds. Lady Midnight succeeds. Phlesc fails. Each of you who fail, back on your character sheet where it says sanity on the left, you should have the biggest number is shown there emboldened in blue. Click the one to the left of it in order to bring it down. Your sanity has now gone down. Now, everybody, for a moment there, felt everything go weird and off-kilter. And those of you who lost sanity just then, you definitely feel a sudden rush of blood pressure as you can start to feel your heartbeat, the way that happens when your blood pressure goes up. And there's a sudden shift you feel inside of you, as if you're suddenly very, very uncertain about the foundations of what you believe in. Suddenly there's something here that feels very, very wrong, very, very alien and unnatural, and you don't like it. And this has actually had, not just as far as an effect that goes on within the holodeck, but you actually feel this inside of you, and everybody pretty much has to steady themselves against either a wall or each other as they feel the room kind of spin. That's when you get a notice.
Okay, right, cool, this happened. So, yes, as I said, there's a mechanic in the story for sanity loss, and so whenever something comes that's like alien or challenging or unearthly or terrifying, something that seems like it's works against all of your characters' held beliefs about the sanctity of the laws of science and or religion or that kind of thing, these things can take a toll on your character's mental stress. or mental faculties, I should say, and cause mental stress. So that's what we just had here. Wait a second. Are you guys okay? The computer just gave me an alert. Your vital signs, some of your vital signs is a bit erratic. Is everybody okay?
The safety's wrong. I thought you said the safeties were on.
That's a good point, actually. Did Garrow take a sanity test? I don't think he did.
Sorry, yeah, I was, I'll do that now.
Yep.
How do I?
So, double-click your character, bring up the character sheet, scroll down on the right-hand side, you should see sanity. There is an icon with a couple of dice and a +0. Just press it and it should roll your sanity. We're looking for 4 and above. You got it. So you still have that weird, dizzy, everything, your balance is off kilter there for a second, but you didn't actually lose any sanity. But Phlesc and Detective Trasa and Dr. Sotson all felt that sudden unnatural feeling, and things do not feel right at all. Like that banner that unfurled and then just drops to the floor and then lands in a heap suddenly seemed to suggest something along the lines of alien vistas and unnatural creatures. And there was even the flash of a spired black city on the shores of a lake, but the image is gone from your head just as quickly as it appears. But yes, going back to what Garrow said.
Yeah. Safeties should be on. Yeah.
I better not need therapy after this, or you're in trouble.
Yeah. Sorry, Commander. I thought I'd put in a funky little effect or something to try and simulate your character losing their grip on their sanity, but maybe I went a little overboard. Okay. I will try and patch this while you guys continue your investigation of the area that you're in. I'm so sorry. I will try and fix this while you're investigating. Sorry again. Carry on.
Am I able to give myself, Hopkins, and Phlesc once over with anything? I'm guessing I don't have any equipment with me.
You don't have any equipment with you whatsoever, no. But just holding your hand against someone's pulse will, blood pressure appears slightly elevated. There's basically the signs of a sudden adrenaline spike from someone meeting, basically as if an animal met an alpha predator kind of thing.
I guess
it's going to kill us all.
I guess I could try and reassure people here.
Yeah, in fact, what I'm going to do there is anybody who has got reassurance. Can't exactly roll on reassurance, but if you wanted to, you could spend a point from your reassurance pool to represent Garrow using his reassurance skill to try and basically bring everybody down back off of that, sudden alert, that sudden panicked alert.
Okay.
So the way you do that is... Okay, so you go to reassurance, you click on the word reassurance, and you'll notice a second window pulls up, and it's got one that says pool and one that says rating. If you press the minus button close to where it says pool, that will represent you spending a point from your reassurance pool.
It's still loading up.
Okay.
Come on.
While you do that, we take it as read that that's what happens. So, Garrow spends a point from his pool. There's all of a sudden a wash over everybody else that seems comforting. But
my Window's just not doing anything. It's
which
still
suggests
buffering.
it's your usual problem if it lost its connection again.
Okay, I'm gonna have to.
But just Forge for now, because Discord's coming through fine. Anyway.
Yeah.
But Sot, Phlesc, and Hopkins, you have still lost a point of sanity. But, nevertheless, you are now free to examine the place. So, what is here under the church? There are... you've already seen that. So, those of you with occult and also with art history, I'll bring the symbol back a second. When you look at the flag, you do gain the sense. Now, this is the interesting bit. Rather than the flag flashing, glowing with a representation that there's a clue, and rather than a little box coming up which gives you the information that the program gives you if you've got the right skill, it just comes to you. You recognize the symbol. Sorry, what was that, Chris?
Yeah, sorry, I've managed to get it back up again now. So the reassurance thing was, I clicked the minus next to pool, is it?
Yes. Yes, please.
Okay.
There we go. Done. Nice.
And then, there we go. Good.
So, all done. So those of you with occult or art history recognize the symbol on the banner as being something called the yellow sign. And that's something that appears in the play, The King in Yellow. It is said to be something that, when viewed, does, in the play, at least in the context of the play, The King in Yellow, there is a section of the play, apparently, where the stranger, the character of the stranger, tricks an entire congregation of partygoers at a queen's banquet to gaze upon the yellow sign, and they all go mad. And you think you just gazed at the yellow sign.
Oh, this is bad.
There are yellow robes hanging on a set of hangers very close to the stairs where you came down into this room from. There are various murals on the walls, and there are tables scattered about the place in some of the rooms which have a number of powders and liquids on them.
I would like to examine the powders and liquids, please.
Those with pharmacy, when you go over to the powders and liquids, will know, again, no prompt, it'll just come to you. Those with pharmacy will recognize LSD and psilocybin, both of which are psychoactive chemicals that have been known to monkey with people's perceptions. It suggests that mind-altering substances were being taken by whoever came down here.
How many robes are there?
There are about 8, but those with occult or theology, however many of you there are.
I've got both.
Okay. So those with occult or theology will notice that there are 4 empty hangars. And the hangars suggest that when the congregants came down here, they would grab a robe, a yellow robe at that, and would then do whatever it is they do down here, which, from what Phlesc and Sot have just discovered, suggests psychoactive chemicals.
Is there traces of chemicals on the robes?
No.
What happens if Phlesc puts on a robe?
He's wearing a yellow robe. It's got
You look
hood and fluted sleeves.
I'm gonna keep rocking the yellow robe.
Okay.
You look fabulous, darling.
I like the swooshy robe.
There's a lot of appreciation of swoosh going on today.
What else? So there's the robes and the drugs. What else was there in?
Those with occult, again. recognize those with occult and art history, pardon me, and art in general, recognize the murals on the walls. They seem to depict a dark city on the shores of a darker lake that has 2 moons, one of which appears to be setting behind the lake, but in front of the city. Those of you... Go on, sir.
Oh, I was going to say someone with geography. You know what that is?
No, someone with geography does not recognize it whatsoever. Those with occult recognize it as a representation of the alien city of Carcosa and the lake as Lake Harley. It is said to be a city on a distant planet that can be reached via the realm of dreams.
Drug-induced dreams.
That's it. They have the drugs. They think they go to this place, and basically they just get really high down here in yellow robes.
I want folks to roll sense trouble, please. Before you do, I'm going to get rid of the previous rolls, just so we've got a fresh set to go from. Everybody can roll sense trouble, but ooh, funky dice.
Ooh,
Yeah,
Success,
that's cool.
success, success.
that was
Fail.
weird.
Where's sense trouble?
It should be down the bottom of general skills.
Ah, I see it.
Okay, lots of successes here. Lots and lots of successes. Nice. So only 1 failure. So the on the basis of everybody else except Indian Neshlelga Jones. It's a shame you didn't choose the fedora and the whip, but there we are. You can dream, can't you? But you got something that makes you go swish. So that's appreciate the swish.
Hopkins is over here in a trench coat just going, yes, very good. And then tipping in for door.
So pretty much everyone hears the sound of footsteps from above. Heavy footsteps, multiple heavy footsteps coming down the stairs. And it's not long before a very large set man, if I can get this to load in, comes down and with a bunch of other rough-looking men who just file in and kind of spill to either side of you as a group. Now, there's obviously one man that you recognize from the picture on the wallet that you found in the son's apartment, which would be the Irish mob boss Brand McFadden himself, and he comes lumbering down. Now, the striking part of each of them is that they are all hulking humans. In fact, looking at them, you would probably compare them more to primates than you would actual people. They just have that ridiculously broad, over-muscled type of look to them, but also they seem to lumber with a very primitive gait. And each of them is carrying some kind of club in their hands, as McFadden just gestures to all of you and doesn't even say anything. He just grunts, and they all just kind of rush at you in all one go. So I am going to throw us into what passes for initiative. And it's already rolled everybody's whatever, and so we will do some combat. But first, we have to turn this off and turn on the action.
Battle has begun.
So, Gurkow wins initiative. Like I said, if you want, like I said at the start, or like Commander Zhang intonated, in order to try and strike somebody, you can roll scuffling. Now, I will note, like I noted on the long piece of text that I gave you to read on Discord, you do have a pool of points. So if at any time but before you actually roll, you think you might need a little bit of extra help, you can spend points from your pool, like for instance scuffling, in order to add 1 to hit and 1 to the damage. But that's entirely up to you because you only have a finite pool of points with which to work. So for now, let's have Neshlel just roll scuffling for me, please. The difficulty is the hit threshold of the thug in front of her, which is 3. So you need a 3 and up to hit.
Come on.
That's a very good one, so that's a successful hit. So, if you notice on your character sheet, if we go to equipment, you have got Fist Kick. Actually, I should have directed you here. Fist Kick is automatically configured. So, Fist Kick has a dice icon with a +0 next to it. If you click that,
Right.
it wasn't scuffling I should have asked you to roll, because rolling Fist Kick will not only roll the to hit, it will also roll damage. You already hit, so we'll ignore that bit. So, Fist Kick, you did 3 damage. So, you actually do cause 1, 2, 3. So, what
Nice.
happens? Neshlel kind of balls up her fist, reaches back and swings. Now, it's an odd interaction because you've done holodeck simulations before, and it's like whenever you fight holograms, there's a sense of solidity when you hit them, but it's a kind of weird spongy solidity where it doesn't have so much force to it that when you hit it, it hurts your fist. That's not the case here. When Neshlel rears back and punches this guy really heavily, and she does, she knocks him clean out in one shot. Neshlel actually feels the pain on her hand from making contact with another solid being's skin and bone. And that's weird, because that shouldn't happen in a hologram, in a holodeck.
Owie!
So he's not dead, he's defeated, and he just kind of disappears. Kind of pixelates away. So, that was you acting. Do you want to move anywhere, or are you alright standing where you are for the moment?
I'm fine with standing where I am.
Moving on. So we are on to Hopkins. Detective. So, you can move anywhere basically in this area very easily. No problems there. You've got a choice of 1, 2, 3, 4 targets.
Alright.
You want to go for the big cheese? Okay. So, like I said with Connie, if you open up your character sheet, go to equipment, you'll notice you've got Fist Kick. If you press the button with the dice on it, there we go. Now that was a 3, and McFadden's hit threshold is 3. You only do a single point of damage. Now, this, for Hopkins, this is interesting because she, like, confidently walks in and just goes, ha! And the impact you feel, the familiar impact of hitting another creature's flesh, but the sheer amount of force behind it is not what Hopkins is used to putting out. Hopkins remembers being distinctively stronger than this, and therefore the guy in front of her, or the hologram in front of her, just kind of takes it on the chin, spits out a tooth, and rears back ready to hit Hopkins in return. Going on, Tavish.
I'm going to step up. I'm going to hit this guy.
Okay, so once again, go to equipment, find Fist Kick, find the button with the dice on it and the +0, and press that button. So that is a good solid shot, doing 4. So, yeah, you actually manage to deck him right across the chin, and he crashes backwards. But again, you definitely feel the impact like you've just punched somebody, so, you know, your knuckles hurt now.
Ow! My hand! Ow!
Do I have to take you to make your fist stronger? I will gladly teach you how to fight in hand-to-hand combat.
Garrow.
Hmm.
It's Garrow.
Yep.
There he is.
Right, I've got 2 to choose from, but I'm gonna go for this guy and hope the other guy doesn't join in. So I'm gonna go with this guy.
So again, open up your character sheet, go to equipment, you will find fist kick in there, and there should be a button with a dice.
Okay, I got -2 damage here, so
that's fine. So, 4, that's a good roll. And 4 -2 just does 2 damage. Okay, cool. So again, Garrow. Garrow's a big, beefy guy, so he's very practiced. So he tucks his elbows in and just gives a feint with the left and a chinning crack of his fist with the right. And yeah, Garrow, you remember being a lot better at this than the feedback is currently suggesting. You hit the guy and you definitely hurt him. You can feel the impact of punching somebody, but you didn't knock him out in one shot. And it's very much a case of, huh?
How's
You're stronger than this. You've knocked guys out with shots like this before.
I've taken Klingons on like this. And
Make ready, your turn comes.
Phlesc. What's Phlesc gonna do? He's all the way back there.
But that's what I'm saying.
Now, interestingly enough, the 2 guys that dropped the weapons they were carrying, which are they were holding a simple wooden club each.
Ooh, do I have enough movement to pick up a club and then whack one?
You have enough movement to move where, like, by here, perhaps. Or by... maybe there's a bit safer. And you could use an action to pick up a club, but you wouldn't have anything left to whack a guy with.
Cool. Right, I will actually go this way.
Okay.
To pick up the club from there. So that'll be my action. I'll pick up the club.
Cool. So if I just move that token away from there for a moment, so I can go to your equipment and see if I can pass you the club from where you pick it up. There you go. Boosh. So in your equipment you now have fist kick and heavy club.
Nice.
So Phlesc moves in, grabs a club, and brandishes it, but can do little
It's your
else.
turn.
Right, who is here? This guy. This guy is going to move in on Nishlel. And is going to do his own scoofling. No, actually, I didn't mean to do that. I wanted to forget that a second. I am not paying attention to my own thing. It's not that I want to take, it's the heavy club. So let's delete that. I don't want to do that. So yeah, there we are. Heavy club. Roll. Okay, so this guy comes in on National and swings with the club. Does make contact, and there's a horrible crunch as it makes contact, and National is actually hurt. You actually feel something give. It seems the safeties aren't on anymore.
Safety? Oh my goodness.
Make ready, your
Sot.
turn comes.
Sorry, Dr. Sotson. Now, like I have noted before, because Dr. Sotson has got first aid, you can spend a point from your first aid pool to help another character recover 2 hit points. But it takes a move and an action to do so. And you have to get close to them, of course.
Yeah, I think I'll do that. Then I'd probably be more used to doing that than trying to have a fight. I'll heal Gurkau if possible.
Yeah, so you go to your first aid skill, you click on the word first aid, it brings up a second little window which has pool and rating. If you knock pool down by 1, you can heal 2 points of Gurkau's health.
Done.
Alright, so let's heal 2. So yeah, Connie, Dr. Sot brings out like a splint or a bandage or something and puts it up against Neshlel's ribs to try and brace them, so you feel a bit better. Still not great though. Where the guy hit you with the club really definitely hurts, but your ribs have been bound up a bit better now, so that you're able to move and breathe a little easier, but still hurts.
It is your turn.
Right, other thug. Well, we put ourselves nicely on this side here, so this guy is going to have a go at Tavish, or Lady Darkface, whatever you want to go with. Swings and gets a 3, which is actually on Tavish's, or Lady Midnight's, hit threshold, so he does actually score 2 points of damage. Tavish, same thing. This is a glancing blow off of like your shoulder or something, but it definitely hurts.
Oh!
It is your turn.
And the one next to Garrow is doing similar. I'm not sure if that's enough to hit Garrow. It is enough to hit Garrow, so Garrow himself takes 3. So in this exchange with this ruffian, Garrow actually takes a shot across the midsection with this guy's club, and yeah, it hurts.
Okay, just got
It is your turn.
So back around, round 2, it's now Gurkhau's turn. So,
Okay, I'm gonna wind up my fish. I'm gonna aim for that thug.
nice. So if you really, really want to see if you can smack him a good one, when you use Fist Kick, you can, if you want, spend a point from your Scuffling pool by pressing the plus button.
Yeah, I'll do that. So plus scuffling.
So not Scuffling, no. If you go to Equipment,
Right.
you will find Fist Kick. On the same line as Fist Kick, you will see a plus button.
Oh, okay.
You press it once, and then you should see that the dice has a +1 next to it now. If you press the button with the dice, it should now roll, having added 1 from your Scuffling pool automatically. So there we are. That's a 3, which is good, and a 5, which is better. So that is a definite hit, doing 3 points, which means you chin him, and he drops. And then he just kind of fades. Doesn't pixelate this time, he just kind of fades out like he was made of smoke. But does drop the club. So it just lands with a clatter. Since you haven't moved yet, you could use your move to pick up the club.
I will do that. It
Right.
will become my club.
It's my club now. Which brings us to Hopkins. Right, you chinned the. You and Tavish managed to take down the chief. There's 2 guys left. That's a very good roll, and that's a very good bit of damage. I think you knocked him out. Boosh. Yep, he down. And he fades out, leaving behind a club. Hopkins moved. Hopkins battered the guy from behind and knocked him out. Tavish's turn.
Tavish doesn't like the fact that she's getting hurt. So she's coming over here.
Okay. Anything else, or is that it?
No, that is it.
Right. Now we're on to Garrow. 1 guy left, and it's the guy that you're on.
Okay, I'm going to throw the dice now.
Ooh, is that enough? It's not enough. Swing and a miss. It seems that the crushing blow he hit you in the middle with has thrown off your aim. Do you want to move anywhere?
Yep, I'm going to...
Back off a bit. Okay. Clutching his injured side.
It will be your
Phlesc.
turn next.
Phlesc has a club.
Let's try swinging my big shiny club. Alright then.
So,
Heavy club.
once
Wing.
again, yep. That is a very
And a
funky
miss.
dice, I have to say.
Hmm.
But
Bring
it
in
is
a
a
miss.
miss, I am afraid.
You are next.
Sot! What you want to do, Dr. Sot?
Hello. I think Garrow has the lowest health right now, right? So I'll go heal him.
Okay. So, 1 point from your first aid gives us 2 back to Garrow.
Cool.
Alright, that's good.
It is your turn.
Right, the bug is still... well, now he's got Phlesc right behind him, so he's going to turn around and try and take down Phlesc with a heavy club. But he's got no points left in his scuffling or his weapons pool, so he can't add anything to it, so it's just going to be that, which looks like a miss. It is a miss. So the thug swings towards Phlesc, but Phlesc just kind of ducks out the way in time and it doesn't manage to land. Round 3, Gurkha's turn. One guy left, this guy over here.
Yeah, gonna gang up on him. Well, move here. And introduce him to my new club.
Say hello to my little friend.
So just roll for that.
So heavy club, yep, same as with fist kick. Oh, the bad rolls are coming in now.
This guy's lucky. This guy's
He
lucky.
really is. Hopkins, can you defeat the undefeatable thug? Maybe, actually. With a 3 and a 3, a 5 is definitely a hit, doing 3 damage. Down he goes. You defeat them all. And yes, this one leaves a club behind. So there are 2 clubs now dropped on the floor, but they have not been picked up yet, I should say. Let's go back to ambience.
Everyone join the club.
I wouldn't mind grabbing a club if it helps make up for my subpar combat skill.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, I'll stay hand to hand. now.
You'll stay hand to hand for now. Okay, that's groovy. So I get Dr. Sot by there, and we'll get this bug and transfer the heavy club over to Dr. Sot. Where was the other club going then?
I mean, did we pick up McFadden's club?
We've got enough to go around. Or...
I think it was picked up, yes, but there's at least one left.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna pick up a club.
Pick up a
Hang on.
club, okay. So that should
We have
be-
what? 5 people? So there should be 5 people.
5 clubs, and Garrow has elected to go without, so all but one of you should now have a club, so let me check. Garrow does not have a club. Hopkins does now. Nashlal does now as well.
Can I
Phlesc.
coat my club in the LSD on the table for an effect? When I hit?
Smear powder on a club. It's possible. I'm not sure how efficacious it would be. You might make him sneeze.
I was gonna say, Tavish will not take the heavy club, realizing that there's pain involved. She's very much against that.
Right, looks
Taking
like
the club.
Garrow will get a club after all.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is, if Tavish is not wanting that, I am going to go to Tavish's equipment and move heavy club over. Now, if I recall, there's a bit of a roundabout way to get this thing. No, that's not it. How do I get that off? What was it? How do I access that? Oh wait, it was no. That. Can't add that. Sod it. It says heavy club in Tavish's
Yeah,
inventory,
but don't use it. Yeah, I got you, mate. Don't worry about that.
I don't know. There is a way of deleting items, but they've for some reason made it rather convoluted with their implementation of this. So whatever.
If I want to punch and kick people, I'll just punch and kick people. I don't need that, as said.
Okay.
The heavy club is not in my equipment. Well, it is, but it is
Alright, so
Okay,
after
yeah.
that particular scuffle has finished, you get an incoming message. And then you get Lt-Cmdr Zhang.
Oh my god, is everybody okay? I'm reading injuries. Commander, is
No.
everybody alright down there?
Oh, we're gonna have a word about making sure the settings are on.
I swear the safeties were on. I made sure they were on. I'm so sorry. Okay, look, I'm not quite near the holodeck. I will. Okay, so I'm getting there now. Don't move. I'll see if I can't. I mean, hell, computer freeze program. Okay.
When she said computer freeze program, none of you heard the computer give an acknowledging beep, and it definitely hasn't frozen.
Nope.
This is not. This is
This is not good.
Okay.
Computer,
Okay, I'm outside of the holodeck. Alright. It hasn't paused. Computer, freeze program. Computer? Computer display program currently being run in holodeck. Sorry guys, I'll fix this in just a moment. What the?
I've heard of this. I've heard of this before.
Computer, I'll be right with you guys. Let me just keep the comms open. Everything's fine. Just stay there. I'll see if I can't just. Computer, what program is currently running in the holodeck? There is no program currently running in the holodeck. Okay, computer, run diagnostic on the holodeck computer. Diagnostic running. Stand by. I'll have this cleared up in no time, guys. Hang on. Diagnostic complete. There is no errors with the holodeck computer program.
Oh, I'll tell you what. Let me have a look at it.
Yeah.
Get me
sure.
out.
Sorry. There should be. If you call for the arch, maybe.
Arch. Appear.
Nothing happens.
Arch appear.
There should be. If you go to one of the walls, if you can try and see if there's like a false panel, that should be one of the safety features of the holodeck, where you can prise a panel loose. You can get to the inner workings of the holodeck emitters. See if you can find it.
Tavish will start looking for it.
You look in all the places you expect to be, so like basically the far walls. You pull away, like you open cupboards, because they're usually disguised as something like that. You open cupboards frantically, you're trying to find wall panels that sound like they're hollow rather than stone or brick, and you find nothing, which, again, alarm bells.
Okay, guys, hold on a second. Engineering, can I get somebody to come down to the holodeck, please?
Then there's another incoming message.
Bridge to main holodeck. Come in, please. This is Commander Zhang, Captain. I'm outside the holodeck. Commander, we are currently reading an enormous power drain going towards the holodeck. Would you care to explain, please? I'm not sure I can right now, Captain. Alpha Squad's main bridge team, Alpha Ship's main bridge team are currently in a program that I was running for them, and I can't seem to get them out. Explain, Commander. I'm not sure I can, sir. I'm waiting for somebody from engineering to come. Oh, good. Here you are. Ensign, thank goodness. See if you can get the doors open, please. Hold on, guys. I'll be right with you. Well, we're just gonna get the doors open. We'll fix this. What do you mean you can't? Manual override. Just prise the door open. Manual override should be down there. Let me help you. Okay, 1, 2, 3. What do you mean you can't turn the handle? Come on, with me now. Okay, both of us together. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Okay, the doors should be open for you now. At least a crack.
You see nothing.
Okay, Ensign, let's get these doors open with me. 1, 2, 3. Alright, let's have a look.
I'm going to see
What
if I
the
can
hell?
exit this room.
You cannot exit this room.
I start banging on the walls with my new club.
Okay, they sound like they're made of either wood or brick, depending on what you're banging up against. They sound like what they look like they should sound like.
Commander Zhang to Ensign Ravalon. Ensign Ravalon here, Commander. Ensign, can you confirm that Commander Hopkins, Lieutenants Gurkow, Tavish, Garrow, and Dr. Sott's comm badges are active for me, please? Stand by, Commander. I can confirm that their comm badges are currently active. Can you trace where their comm badge signals are coming from, please? Stand by. They appear to be coming from the main holodeck, Commander. Okay. Captain, we have a problem. Explain, Commander. Ensign Ravalon says that the commander and her team's comm badge signals are coming from the main holodeck. I'm in the main holodeck right now and there's nobody here. Explain? I can't, sir. They should be in here. I don't know how to explain it. Engineering. Reports to the main holodeck. I'm going to have our transporter chief lock onto your comm badge signals. Stand by, holodeck team. You have a lock? Excellent. Energize. What do you mean it did not complete? You said you just had a lock on them. Commander Hopkins, what is your current status and that of your holodeck team?
I'm guessing good. Well, minus the fact that we're stuck.
Very well. We will endeavor to try and discover the means by which we can get you out of your current predicament. At the moment, however, the only thing I can potentially recommend is for you to try and end the holodeck simulation that you are in as quickly and succinctly as possible. This is Commander Zhang again, guys. I can't explain it. The holodeck computer says there's no program running. I am inside the main holodeck. There is no program running. I am inside an empty holodeck. You should be here, but you're not. I can still hear you. You can still hear me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I don't know what the hell's going on. My best suggestion to you would be maybe to keep running the story. See if you can't solve the story, get to the end. I mean, all it is for you to... If I remember the brief, it's just... Your characters are supposed to track down and confront the cult and free the son of the magnate. That's it. It wasn't supposed to be terribly hard. So maybe do that and see if we can bring the program to an end.
Very well. In the meantime, were there any anomalies in the last 2 hours?
Captain?
Any
You're checking the sensor reports now.
And the May overloaded.
Engineering and sensors detect no anomalous reading in our current area of space. and nothing within the ship either. We will continue to run scans. In the meantime, take care of yourselves and try and avoid any perilous situations, since it seems that the safeties are now off. We will work on our end to try and see if we can find you and bring you back.
Tell my engineering team, sir, to do the best they can.
Indeed. I will oversee the rescue situation myself.
Thank you, sir.
Keep your comm lines open in case we need to... we'll keep our comm lines open to you in case we need to appraise you of the situation. In the meantime, I suppose, carry on.
Understood.
Okay. So, with that, what are you going to do now? You still have
Is-
locations to visit.
Sorry, I was going to say, is the I forget his name. So the lead gangster, is he like out cold? Can we bring him round and
He's
question
gone.
him?
As soon as you defeated him, he
he's-
kind of faded away.
Cool. Never mind then. Was there anything else to see down here?
You pretty much picked up every available clue, it seems.
Perhaps we just start going to those 4 locations and find those pages.
Alrighty. What do other people think?
Yeah, let's get
Yeah,
let's get out of here.
With conceal, can Garrow have a better look around to see if there's anything hidden?
Definitely can have a look around, but everything that you could pick up, you have picked up.
Cool. Moving on then.
Moving on. Alright, so the next thing that happens to you is that you do actively come out of the church and into the street. Now, the landscape you find yourself in is very reminiscent of the picture that you do now see. You've got a street, you've got street lamps, everything very much tinged with the strange colour filter that you've got going on at the moment. Yes.
Only through darkness.
Oh, it's all darkness, is it? Because I didn't disable vision. That's fine. Hang on. Take that away. Boom.
Awful.
But everything is kind of hazy, and the definitions are soft, almost like it is a fuzzy old film. There are shadows of people moving about, and they don't seem to be moving about very animatedly. It's almost, if you think of it as background characters in a computer game from the old computer games, where they were just like 2D images that had very limited movement animations, and they're kind of moving in the periphery, just out of your vision, so that you can't see them. You can't see any definite definition of them, but you can see like hazy, indistinct shadows moving. You can definitely hear activity going on around you, but there's a lack of very definite people around. Nevertheless, you have a very good idea of where you want to go, so finding where to go is easy enough, especially with those of you with geography, pardon me. There's that thing again. I keep thinking that rocks tell you where to go. Anybody with streetwise and geography will know where to go in the city. So where do you want to go first? The library, the museum, the science exhibit, or the art exhibit?
Shall we go to the library? There'll be more books.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, Bill, let's try that.
All
Remind
right.
me never to let her do this again.
This is the first and
Agreed.
last time we let Commander Zhang take us on a holiday. Okay. Before I let you move around, let me change the ambience. And let me check. Right. So, you find your way without any hassle whatsoever. In fact, as you move around, the terrain seems to roll past you at a consistent speed. irrespective of how fast you move your legs. When you start running, of course, just to test it out, it does start scrolling by a bit faster, but it's always kind of slightly out of step, as it were, with your steps. But eventually you do manage to make your way into a building that is very clearly marked library. And you enter into it. The first thing you notice when you enter is that even though this place looks very much like you expect a library, a building with books and stuff to look like, parts of it just look a little off, a little odd. I mean, you come through the door closes behind you, but where there should be a door, there's this weird archway step thing. These steps. The door is slightly distorted in its hinges. There are people milling about, but just like with outside, they're kind of like indistinct shadows. Whenever you get close to them, it's almost like it redraws them so that they're a consistent distance away from you. There is the character of a chief librarian who is sitting behind a desk, or standing next to a desk, I should say. A woman in a period-appropriate dress with wire-rimmed spectacles balanced on her nose, and she's reading a book. Occasionally, the phantom of a library user wafts up to her, and they have a conversation, and she either checks out the book that they give to her, or she goes through the motions of directing them to a different spot. Nevertheless, you do have the run of the place. So, who here has got lore?
Oh, yay.
Cool. So, you all kind of fan out and start looking around the place for anything that might be something you can use. And as you're all moving about, Hopkins, with her lore skill, spots a book on police procedure that is in the wrong section. Now, again, this didn't light up with a little nimbus of light to suggest that it's a clue. It's just something that you spotted walking past.
Yeah, this don't go here.
So, grabbing the book, something falls out of it. An envelope. Meanwhile, who has got geology or streetwise?
Geology.
Yeah, I've got geology.
I got streetwise.
Okay, cool. So Hopkins is busy with this book. Everybody else who has got either geology or streetwise, you come across a display in the main reception hall of the library, and it's a kind of a table with a set of what looks like onyx gems arranged in a pattern. But it seems out of place in a library, but the labeling suggests that it's some kind of display celebrating some kind of geological find. But those with geology, whoever has got actual geology, you will notice that they're not real onyx gems, they're fakes. And that's when you notice, if I can get this to go. As you've been walking around, the light level has been getting progressively dimmer. And lights have come on, but they are sparse and flickering.
Ooh.
The lights flicker and appear to cast weird shadows Can I get a... is it sense trouble? It's sense trouble. Nope for Dr. Sotson.
Nailed it.
Nope for Mr. Phlesc, but definitely for Indiana Jones. And definitely for Detective Trasa. And definitely for Garrow. Who are we missing? So we've had Dr. Sot, we've had Phlesc, we've had Gurkha, we've had Trasa. It's Tavish. No, okay. Garrow and Hopkins and Gurkha all hear this strange groaning, clicking sound coming from somewhere else in the area, and that's when you spot something at the far side of the library. It seems to emerge out of the shadows. You can't quite tell what it looks like, but it is humanoid with overlong, taloned limbs, and it's uttering this strange kind of sound. All of the characters in the library that were there before have now vanished.
Don't mind me just hiding behind the fighters.
So, yeah, what do you want to do? This thing has now ventured down, and everyone can now hear it. Skulking about.
Get back here.
So, there are bookshelves, there are corners, there are rooms. What do you want to do?
Oh, go for the bookshelves.
Cool.
Are you hiding?
Find a book. Find a book that helps.
Anybody who wants to try and hide can use stealth, even if you don't have a rating in it.
Just a roll.
Yes, please.
Is this where my, like, incredible fleeing skill will come in handy?
What was that, sorry, Chris?
Is this where my, like, incredible fleeing skill will come in handy?
Well, maybe. Maybe.
No one can run away like I can.
Okay, I'm going to try stealth.
Alright. Good. Good checks so far, except for Dr. Sotson and Phlesc.
I hide under my robe.
This thing is skulking closer to where it heard Phlesc and Sot kind of fumble about in the dark. Meanwhile, Hopkins, you still have that envelope.
Oh yeah, can I say what's in it as I'm like hiding?
Absolutely. So ducking behind a desk or a bookshelf or whatever you use to hide yourself, Hopkins takes the time to frantically open up the envelope and finds a page for a very old page, which looks like it belongs to the book that you got earlier.
Alright, cool. She will.
I am going to ask, before you do that, hold on to that, don't lose it, but before I get you to do that, can I get Sot and Phlesc to both give me sanity rolls, please, because you weren't stealthy or quick enough to get away from this thing before you saw it. Ooh. Ooh! Both of you lose another point of sanity, please. Because you see this thing, and its shape suggests something almost human, but the way it moves is entirely unnatural. The clicking sound it's giving as well, this horrible groaning clicking sound, suggests something between like an insect and an animal, but a regular mammalian animal, but you can't quite place either. And it's disturbing you greatly. The rest of you managed to flee to a hiding spot before you managed to see it, so... right. So, anybody with occult?
Yes.
You managed to spot from your hiding place, wherever it is. So your character token's physical place here on the map does not necessarily represent where they are in the library. But Tavish with Occult notes in the room that this creature shambled out of is what looks like a ring of shiny crystals, black in color.
Tavish is gonna slowly crawl there.
Alright, I'm going to need you to make another stealth test for me, please. Remember that if you want to get better at it, you can spend a point from your pool to do it.
I was gonna say, I've got 5 out of 5 for stealth, so...
So if you wanted to, you could press the plus button next to stealth to use a point from your pool to enhance the roll by 1. If you want to. Only if you want to. Cool.
No, I think it's funnier without... Oh,
very good. You managed to stealthily make your way over to the corner, the room, by ducking between shelves and under tables and whatnot, and you make your way towards the room where you find 5 onyx crystals set in a pattern. With your occult knowledge, you reckon this is basically a summoning circle. This is what summoned the creature here. Unfortunately, you can hear something breathing very close to where you are.
I'm taking a crystal and I'm running.
As you're running, I'm going to need you to give me a fleeing test.
Fleeing test. Fleeing. Oh, I've got 8 out of 8 for fleeing.
Cool.
Oh
dear. So, as Tavish is fleeing, this thing, whatever it is, jumps out of a corner that you didn't know it was hiding in, and kind of knocks Tavish's legs out from under, which sends the actual onyx crystal skittering across the floor. Somebody else can make a chance for it, but
I'll go for it.
What do you want to do with it once you get it?
Flee.
Flee. Fleeing check, please. Nice. The creature starts to run off after Dr. Sott, so thankfully, whatever it was, Tavish didn't get the chance to get a good look at it as it kind of leaps over her and skitters off in the direction of Sott. But as Sott seems to be outpacing it as it runs around, it starts to lose its cohesion, and you can start to see through it as it becomes less and less opaque until it eventually just kind of roars in part fury, part despair as it eventually just disappears.
I have a hyper spanner. Don't mess with
no,
me.
No, you don't.
Oh god, I don't have a hyper spanner.
And everything just seems to turn back to normal again. Okay, now, I know Chris has to go early, but we might run into overtime. So.
Yeah, I think I should be good for at least another 20 minutes or so, I think.
Okay, cool. So, the creature gone, everyone comes out of hiding and Hopkins reveals the page that she found. So, you have managed to find what you are after in this location. You have the museum, the science exhibit, and the art exhibit to go next. Where do you want to go?
Museum?
Yeah, let's go to the museum.
Museum.
Can I pick up the rest of the crystals?
They seem to have gone.
Oh, okay.
They mysteriously vanished. Right, off to the museum you go. So in a similar fashion, you go outside, everything seems hazy and indistinct, but you do find your way to a ornate-looking building, very clearly marked as museum. Doesn't say what museum or museum of what, it just says museum. So off we go to the museum. There's the sound of people present, but again, their shapes are hazy and indistinct. But nonetheless, you find your way in here.
Perhaps we should expedite our search before one of those things shows up again.
Alright, so looking around, you find various bits of art, and mainly you find a display on basically Chinese culture in the limited fashion that it was understood by Europeans and Westerners at this point in its history. Therefore, those with any actual historical knowledge of human culture will find some glaring assumptions and omissions. Nevertheless, somebody with history will find a German exhibit of a Chinese single finger trap.
Hey guys, I found an exhibit.
The thing that strikes you about it is that this thing is labelled Mädchenfänger, which was basically known as a girl catcher. And it's like the Chinese finger trap where you put your fingers in both ends of this kind of like bamboo tube. And of course, the more you pull it, the more it tightens, so you can't pull your fingers out of it. What strikes you about this finger trap is that the date on the display says 1750, but the first Mädchenfänger was available around 1870. So it's out of place. Meanwhile, somebody with astronomy moving around the museum discovers to your dismay that the astronomy display has been, it's kind of one of those like little globe lights that have got pinpricks in them to try and produce like a light show on the ceiling that is supposed to try and simulate the night sky. But when you look at the night sky, the stars are not like they should be. The stars are in a very unusual alignment. None that you're familiar with.
I
And
wonder how
that's-
this compares.
Go on, sorry.
I wonder how this compares to the book we found in the apartment.
Indeed. But you're not given to rest too long on that particular subject when all of a sudden you notice that the sound of the conversation going on around you starts to decrease or kind of recedes into the background, but all of your steps that you take on even the carpeted floor seem amplified. Every move you make when you touch something, when you walk into something or across something, especially when you walk on tiled floors, the amount of sound you generate is really loud compared to what it should be. And that's when something starts to slither its way out of a corner at the far end of the room. A patch of darkness that hid a corner. Something starts to step out of it. Sanity checks for everybody, please. Difficulty 4. Pass. Fail. Fail. Pass. Pass. And
Go
one
and
more.
do Lally.
So
I
everyone
feel
who I
so
said
mentally robust.
everybody who I said fail, make sure you knock one off of your sanity. Who hasn't?
If
I think you
if we
haven't,
got-
Dave.
no, I
Oh, you
have.
You have.
If we got hit in the last fight, do I have to bring my health down as well? Because it's still on 10 on my character sheet.
Did you get hit on the last?
Yes, I
You
did.
did, didn't you? If you could.
It was down by 2, so wasn't
Cool.
it?
Okay, I can put mine down as well.
Of course, I copied and preloaded these characters in, so I didn't copy them as such. So whatever you think you were at the time, I'm not bothered with overly. But there is now a creature stalking around in the darkness, and your ability to move from it stealthily appears to be compromised by the fact that every step you make is amplified in sound. But, nevertheless, whoever had history was very near to that Mädchenfänger display.
Oh god. Oh no. Oh.
So
Where am I going?
So the display itself, while everybody else can give me stealth checks to try and hide from this thing, or if you don't want to do stealth, then you can do fleeing to try and run away and keep away from it. Very good.
I got a
Very
higher
good.
fleeing.
Neshlel, no, she gets spotted.
No.
Tactical withdrawal on my part.
So this thing is going to start to hunt Neshlel specifically as it moves
Did you
stealthily
say-
around.
Did you say everybody except for the person who was looking at the Chinese finger
Yes,
trap?
please.
Except, so
Except.
I'm except me. So I've yeah, okay.
So, unfortunately, Neshlel is being kind of chased around by this thing that is there 1 minute and then not there the next. It seems to dart between angles. So, one moment it's there, and the moment it seems to run into something with a right angle, and then just disappears and comes at you from an entirely different location. So, at the moment, Neshlel is not doing terribly great as this thing is hot on her heels. But meanwhile, Tavish is near to this display that is a bit suspicious. There is a piece of fabric with unusual patterns on it that the finger trap is resting on.
Okay. What do the patterns look like?
It looks very similar to some of the symbols you've seen in the pages of the book you've got so far.
Ooh! I am going to pick up the finger trap carefully and then take the page.
Cool. And you find it. Yes, it's there. You've grabbed the
Okay.
page. Meanwhile, Garrow reckons that, this display... anybody with a cult... So...
Tavish?
or anybody with occult and/or astronomy can lend a guess that the stars, if you alter the stars on the display, you might be able to send this creature back home. So realigning the astronomy display so it displays something that's more in keeping with what you're familiar with might be better than leaving it on something that is not of this universe. And I'm gonna ask for
One
Gurkau
last.
to give me one last fleeing check to see if she can stay ahead of this
Oh
thing.
my god.
Can
Ah!
Ooh dear.
can I try and run
Yeah.
to the astronomy thing?
Yep.
Do I have to do a fleeing?
If you can. Oh, that's a bit of a nip.
Oh!
So it looks like it's up to Garrow.
Okay. Hang on.
Neshlel gets bowled over by the weird hound-like creature, and it actually manages to bite into her back.
So fleeing, is it?
Fleeing from Garrow, please, to see how far you can, how fast you can get there. That's really good. That'll do me. You just about get there whilst this thing is busy nomming on Neshlel, and Garrow makes it to the astronomy display and spins it around and realigns it so that the stars are now different. Just as it's about to bite into Gurkau more, the creature kind of raises its head and howls as it just fades out of view.
I tripped on my skirt, didn't I?
You did, I'm afraid so.
Immediate first aid on myself.
Yeah, can
Okay,
I?
yep.
Does it help if I do it? Do I have a better stat? Or...
Well, it doesn't matter because you've both got as long as you spend a point from your pool to as many points as you like.
Okay.
In a
I've still got
go.
I've got 8 to spare, so I don't mind doing it. Whereas the shell's
All
only
right
4.
then. All right then.
Check you out, Mister. I've got first aid.
Ah.
Okay, yep. Feel free. How many points you spending?
I guess I'll just do the 1 for now. Economize it a little bit. But...
Okay, so National goes back up to recovers 2 more, but yes. Okay. So you put the creature away. You found out the next page. You've got the science and the art exhibit and the art gallery left.
I think at this point I may have to run. So
okay.
I'm so sorry about this.
That's all right. You did warn us ahead of time, so let's do this.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. I'll take over for you. I promise not to get you killed.
Okay. No worries. I'll see you. See you again soon, and to everyone listening, I will be back next week for
regular scheduled programming. Yes.
Yeah. And on that note, goodbye.
Toodle. All right then. So the science exhibit or the art exhibit next?
Ooh, science. Because I'm a
Yes,
scientist.
science.
Alright, bye-bye, Chris. Let's move to the science exhibit and let's take care of the filters. Alright, same thing, but the geography of this exhibit is even more distorted than you were expecting. This place has got the paraphernalia of science exhibits, so it's got various tables set up with things to show off. But some rooms don't have doors leading to them even, and so this is becoming increasingly weird. Nevertheless, those who have so there's various exhibits scattered throughout this area that you can move through. You can find the odd door that you didn't realize was there before. And when you turn around, there's no door there anymore, but every time you go to a wall with intent on going through it to a wall, there does appear to be a door. So it's very confusing. Nevertheless, somebody with biology.
I've got 2 biology.
Hello. I have 6.
Hello.
That's
So,
yours.
Biology. You come across a vivisected pig carcass that is meant to apparently display the similarity to human organs. But when you look inside of the pig carcass, you notice that the pig's heart is actually not a pig's heart and is a human heart, and appears to be removable like the rest of the display's organs. Meanwhile, over at the anthropology exhibit, anybody with anthropology will come across a room done up like it was the inside of a cave, and on the cave's wall there is what looks like a cave painting that at first glance appears like any normal cave painting you expect to see, with stick figures representing people and with various simple crude renditions of weapons like bows and arrows. But as you look through these cave painting displays, one of them has what appears to be a gigantic bear-like creature, but bear-like in size and scope compared to these stick figures, but seems to possess multiple limbs other than what it usually should have, and maybe even a curved horn coming out of its head. It's enough to make you stop and go back to check it again, but once you do, you realize that the depiction of this creature, whatever it was, is gone. But not long after that is when you notice the temperature starts to drop significantly. And as it does, something that is the shape of a bear, but with multiple human-like arms almost, comes trundling out of a corner room as almost flakes of snow start to fall. Your breath is fogging before you, and this creature just comes around the corner and bellows like an angry bear.
Tavish just goes, I need to stop looking at stuff that keeps on coming alive.
So, the one close to the biology exhibit, what are you going to do? The pig's heart is not a pig's heart, it's a human's heart.
Oh. We gotta grab it, right?
Yeah, we
You
should
can try and
probably
grab it.
take it out.
If you,
Shall
when
I
you
do
take
that?
it out, you notice that there is something paper-like rolled up inside of the heart. Pulling it out, you realize that it is another page. Now, somewhere near the anthropology exhibit, there is also a collection of bones and stones that you find arranged in a spiral.
I am going to go there and stop just moving it.
Cool. So in order to get there, we're going to need somebody to be basically a distraction for the big creature that's stomping around and bellowing and charging after you. So,
I mean,
Yep.
I've got a
Here.
club. I
Come
can
here,
go.
I'd like.
start beating on it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, just
Yes.
go and fight it.
What I'm going to suggest then is that one person be the beater, and everybody else can contribute about a minimum of 2 points from their scuffling pool to add 1 respectively. So you're all basically ganging up on this one creature. So one person, probably Hopkins, is going to be the one who's going to be leading the charge. Everyone else can assist. You assist by paying a point from your pool, but then 1 above, in order to so we ignore the first point you contribute, but we don't ignore every point you contribute thereafter. The first point is the price you pay for cooperatively ganging up on this thing. And in the name of expediency, we're going to have 1 roll to see how well you beat on this thing. While Tavish goes to try and sort the circle of stones and stuff that she saw. So Garrow is going to go to his scuffling pool and is going to spend 2 points so that he adds 1. Actually, not well. Yeah, it's going to be scuffling for him, but weapons for everybody else. Actually, it should be weapons. So Garrow is in fact going to add 2 from his weapons pool, so that he contributes 1, a +1. So everybody else do the same if you can, please.
So, do we
Go
go
to
in edit
weapons. Sorry?
Go to weapons?
Go to weapons.
Oh, yeah.
If you click the word weapons, it brings up a window. It asks you how many points you want to spend from your pool by pressing the negative button next to pool.
Boom.
If you knock the number down by at least 2, you can each contribute a +1 to, let's say, Hopkins's weapon attack.
Cool. I've removed
And
2 from my
damage.
pool.
So everybody done that?
I think so. -1 on Paul.
So, if I can get Hopkins to give me her own attack, going to your equipment and using the heavy club. Just roll as is, and we will add the requisite number. Now, you did only roll a 1, but you had +1, 2, 3, 4, which made it a 5, which means you did actually hit the creature, doing 5/10 damage. So you basically keep it occupied. You're all billy clubbing the hell out of this thing as it's swinging left and right, trying to get at you, but you're all kind of, one of you goes in to distract it while the others then close in and strike it from behind. When it turns around to see who's going for it, that then gives those behind it a chance, so you're basically ganging up on it and beating it into the floor. Meanwhile, Tavish has gone over to the collection of bones and stones that appears to be arranged in a spiral. What are you going to do when you get there? Your occult knowledge would suggest this is some kind of summoning circle, so if you can break it somehow, you should send the creature away.
Alright, I'm going to break it then. By literally just using my feet and kicking them
all over the place.
Yeah.
Cool. And it works. As soon as you mess up the configuration of the spiral pattern, you hear this roar from the room that you left the other guys in, taking on this creature, and it eventually just disappears.
Woo.
In a similar fashion to the others.
I'm good at this.
Get in there, yes indeed. So let's turn that off and go back to ambience. So, looking in that rolled up piece of paper that you got from the Pig's Heart exhibit, you find another page of the book. And finally, I'm going to have to speed this along because this has taken more time than I anticipated. We go to the art exhibit. You get a call at this point from the captain notifying you that there is an even greater power drain on the ship's systems. Something is drawing enormous power somehow to the holodeck, and the engineering crew, no matter what they try, even by physically beating at the EPS conduits and trying to unplug them, they are unable to cause any kind of physical damage or alteration to the power systems leading to the holodeck. They are trying everything they can, but they cannot turn off the holodeck for the life of them. And they are now reporting that some kind of computer program emanating from the holodeck program you are currently running is trying to infiltrate the ship's systems. So, you go to the art exhibit, and you find the place just as equally, if not greater, distorted than the science exhibit you were at not long ago. This is mostly art, so you've got various pictures on the walls, you've got photography exhibits, and you've got sculpture exhibits all along the place. Those of you with photography...
Oh, hello.
And art, or art history, come across an art exhibit called Art Through a Lens, which shows a wall of portraits set along a wall, and there are then strung up in the space between the walls photographs, just kind of clipped there, strung up in the middle of the display hall. And the photographs appear to display photographic shots of those portraits. They've been overlapped in some kind of order to create what looks like a continuous string that forces the viewer to walk a full circle. But one of the photographs, those of you with photography or art and the like, one of the photographs shows a pointing hand that isn't there in its corresponding overlapping photo. It doesn't appear to be, anybody with photography would be able to recognize something like double exposure, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So, the pointing hand was there when the photo was taken. And it appears to be pointing to a specific portrait. Meanwhile, those with forensics and or chemistry, doing the rounds as you are as well, will find a dried compound off to one side of the gallery that you swear looks like dried mushrooms. Tasting them and spitting them out leaves an unpleasant taste, and you recognize the taste that these are what are considered magic mushrooms, which of course contain the compound psilocybin. Somebody has consumed psilocybin here. And you find someone nearby is a hazy character, but semi-defined, just a regular-looking woman with shoulder-length white hair and a stark black dress, and she's just there with her eyes closed, humming something very quietly. And that's when the lights in the exhibit begin to definitely dim to rather extreme levels, and you hear this horrible slopping sound begin to fill the space. Something somewhere has flopped into existence. So, yes, we are probably going to run over time here. So, is everybody okay to run over?
Yeah.
By
Yes.
how long? How
I
long
don't
are
think
you
it's
willing
like
to
a
keep going
hard
for?
Time limit.
Don't have a hard time limit? Okay. Everybody else okay to go as long as this takes? I'll try and be as quick as I can, of course, but...
Cool.
Cool. All right, then. Good. So, something shadowy and indistinct in form is now basically slopping and slithering along the floor, and I need you all to give me sanity rolls again, as you even just the sound of this thing is revolting revolting you to your very core. Sanity chest check. Hopkins has failed. Gurkow has failed. Phlesc has succeeded. Lady Midnight has failed. And I'll do Garrow.
Stand by
so
one.
Lower it by 1 if you please. Let me give Garrow a turn. Garrow's fine. So everyone who failed, lower your sanity by 1 as the sheer alienness and horror of this formless splat of a creature, as it just seems to be shifting between various oily forms as it's slithering about trying to find you. Now, you've got this woman over in a corner who appears to be chanting, having used the magic mushrooms in order to induce an altered state of consciousness. Those of you with chemistry and biology will know that by having taken these magic mushrooms, she's now under the effects of the psilocybin, which means that her brain is in a state of altered consciousness, but it also means that she's left highly susceptible to suggestion. So at the moment, she's using this chant, whatever it is she's chanting, which sounds horrible to the ears and is using syllables and vowels that shouldn't be possible for a human tongue to emit. But nonetheless, she seems to be using this chant to keep herself focused on whatever it is she's doing. But those of you with hypnosis could attempt to try and guide her trip, as it were, her psilocybin trip, her hallucination. Meanwhile, everybody else is either going to have to hide or flee from the slopping, flopping creature.
Oh, I'm gonna try and stealth again.
Yeah,
So let's see.
I'm gonna try and stealth again.
So, stealth for Garrow is a 0, but he's going to try fleeing, which is 8, so yeah, he's pretty good. I'm going to go with...
I'm going to try fleeing. I know my expertise.
Gurkha, you're not very good at this
No.
running away thing, are you?
Oh.
Luckily, it seems that Tavish is just as bad at the hiding thing, so... Oh, and unfortunately Hopkins, so the three of you kind of are running between the displays, but this thing is deceptively swift. However, where did Dr. Sot go? You succeeded on your fleeing test. You're able to outrun it. And if I remember, does Dr. Sot have hypnosis? Yes, he does. 2. So you can try and do hypnosis to try and see if you can guide this woman's focus away from the chant she's doing. You've got 2, so you could technically use one or both of your pool points to do a one-off big all-in roll with +2.
I'll try that. It's not like I've had too much of a use for it so far.
So that with a +2 is 5. Excellent. So Sot can hear everybody running around trying to jump between various different rooms, but this horrible, slopping, slithering creature is coming after them. So some try to run, some try to hide, but they don't manage. This thing just seems to perceive them wherever they are. So trying to focus as best he can, Sot starts to quietly use his voice, which we know he's very good with normally, to infer himself into this woman's hallucination or whatever it is she's doing. So as he does, he starts interrupting some of her focus, and she starts to visibly frown as she's starting to trip over the words, until eventually Dr. Sot, or Dr. Sotson, introduces a couple of hypnotic suggestions, and then goes, "You will wake up now," clicks his fingers, and the woman's eyes snap open. And of course the pupils are wide as anything. She stops her chant, and there's this horrible gurgling noise as just as it's about to bear down on let's say Tavish, as her dress trips her up again. This dark, oily mass starts to extrude tendrils and other probosces towards her, but then it kind of flops, discorporates into a puddle of goo, and then just kind of disappears. As does the woman that Dr. Sot was hypnotizing. And that's when you are left with the puzzle of the photographs. So the photographs show a hand pointing towards specifically one of the portraits on the wall. Checking behind that portrait, you find an aged page from a book stuck to the back of the portrait. Or not stuck so much as it is just kind of jammed in. You now have all 4 parts to the book, or all 4 pages you were sent to get. What do you want to do now?
I guess.
Yeah, you guess?
I guess put them together, or try to put it back together.
Cool. As you try and fit the pages back into the book, they seem to just melt back into the book binding as if they were never torn out in the first place. And after the final one does go in, the book itself leaps through its own pages and seems to stop at a specific page that has a number of what looks like verse or incantations that were, you swear, before written in a script that you didn't recognize, but now they seem to be basically Anglicanized, so in a way that you could read it and try and form the sounds that is suggesting phonetically that you say. As such, everyone gains where is it? Edit, where is it? Actually, I'll leave that. Essentially, folks from using the book now gain a point of Cthulhu mythos each. But that will have a cost of taking 1 point from your sanity pool. So rather than losing a point of sanity, your maximum sanity goes down. So even those who have managed to so far get away without having any sanity damage, mainly Garrow, even they will find this the incantations alone pressing on their surety of how solid everything is that they believe in. Nevertheless, you all chant your words together as best as you're able, as Tavish, being the one with the occult knowledge, suggests that the book suggests that you should all chant these words together. At first, nothing much happens, but then a spectral wind starts to gather, and bits of random detritus start to gather in the center of this whirl, which is going in the middle of the circle that you've made of yourselves all standing around. The whirl of debris then starts to form what look like bones, human bones, and they start small at the feet, but then start gathering up to form the standing skeleton of a human. Then, horrifically, musculature and tendons start winding their way around the bones in order to be where they should be, and you start to slowly see a human get built from the ground up before you. Something which is going to require a sanity check from you all again. That's a pass.
Oof.
That's a pass. That's a pass.
Oh no.
That's a fail. So lose another point.
Ooh.
That's a pass. And Garrow will do sanity for Garrow, who's been doing very well so far. That's a fail, so Garrow loses his first sanity. A man gets rebuilt in front of your very eyes until eventually he forms complete with clothing in front of you to be a young man dressed in a gentleman's casual finery. He hasn't got a jacket on or anything like that. He's just in his shirt with his braces up over his shoulders. And he takes a ragged gasp in as he intakes air into his lungs. And then he just staggers for a moment, getting his balance, and looks around at all of you. And he seems to start when he lands first on Hopkins, then on Phlesc, definitely on Gurkow, and then startles again when he looks at Sot. Oh! Aliens! Well, considering what I know, far from a revelation. Wait, and he starts to feel his face, then looks down at his hands and turns them over. A mirror, he says. I need to see a mirror, and darts over to a wall where there happens to be a mirror. And he looks into it, seeing his own reflection, touching his face, pulling at his ear length, down to the mid of his ear, hair, looks at himself, just goes, oh, the sun. Of course. That makes sense. Yes. Right. I'm going to ask you all a question now, he says, and I want your honest answer. Do you realize that you're all in a fiction?
Yes.
Yeah. But we
Good.
can't get out.
No. No, that makes sense. Although this looks and feels different than I expected. Although I confess I don't know exactly what I expected. I expected us to be in a film. But this feels more... And he reaches out to one of you and actually just kind of touches you on the shoulder. Let's say Hopkins. This feels a lot more solid than I was expecting. Where am I? Where is this place? I mean, I know
on a holodeck on the USS Combs.
holodeck. We're on a ship. A ship at
Yes.
sea?
No.
No. Space.
Amazing. We finally journeyed into the stars. I'm afraid my wonder will have to wait, however.
Well, who would you be?
My name is... Curious. In the transition, I've taken away my own name. Makes sense. I've had to adopt the identity of the very character that I've come to embody. The missing son. Of course, that makes sense. I suppose then you'll have to refer to me as... by the name of the missing son. Johan. That'll have to do for now. Well, I suppose an explanation is in order. As you've correctly surmised, you're not where you should be. How you came to be trapped in the fiction is, well, now neither here nor there, because you are trapped in the fiction. This is all the work of one woman. You no doubt have already heard of her, though you didn't realize she was an actual real person. Professor Esme Merchant? She was more than likely the character you were meant to find in the first instance. The antagonist of the fiction, yes?
Never heard of her.
As it happens, Professor Merchant was an actual person. An archaeologist of some great repute. She went looking in the hills and mountains of Afghanistan and found something. Something that she then used to start her own religion. A religion which, to my shame, I became part of. I was seduced by all the promises of a new start, a place where we could all be something more. A lord that we could even bring their presence into our being. But over time I began to suspect that there was something more sinister to this agenda. And those who were on the inner circle, like I eventually wended my way in to their company of, began to hear tales of contact. Contact that Professor Merchant had made with something further afield than even the planet we were on. Something that dwelt in the far stars. And that one day we would be able to call, such that it would come forth and exist within the very place that we inhabit, so that we would become one with it, and join it in its distant shores of its city. Whether or not you believe in any such things is immaterial. Professor Merchant definitely believed, and she gathered faithful to her in order to try and see that endgame of summoning forth the creature that she communed with into our plane of existence. When I had discovered this plan, I made to thwart it as best as I was able. I was, as I said, on the inner circle of her most loyal devotees. I did so in order to try and find a way to undo what it was she sought to do. So I was able to find some books of lore, which allowed me to create an effect similar to what she herself would later do in order to escape capture. I alerted the police, and we were set to raid one of her churches. I believe it was in an old Welsh port town, Greyhenge. Nevertheless, with the police in tow, we were able to raid Professor Merchant's summoning ritual, where the police were able to capture some of the cultists assisting her in this ritual. Professor Merchant herself escaped capture, and when they went to check, all they found in her apartment and the church where she had first started her congregation was a screenplay. A screenplay of a film entitled The Church of Our Lord in Orpiment. Nothing more. Professor Merchant herself somehow escaped. But I saw through this escape. I saw what she had done. There were subtle notes within the screenplay that suggested that this was more than just a play. This was a creation that Professor Merchant herself had escaped into. Now, these kind of things, as is the want of anything that is forbidden, would eventually, of course, find its way into somebody's hands that would then, even against better judgment, would try and make this thing into what it wanted to be. A play, or a film, or whatever this is. In so doing, you would open the trap that Professor Merchant had left she had somehow imprinted herself into this play and created a fiction which existed in its own place outside of space or time. And as soon as someone opened the gates to it, as someone started to partake in the fiction, like unfortunately you have done, it would then create a bridge between the place where this fiction dwelled, outside of space and time, to wherever it is you have come from. Now, as the play is written, you were supposed to be captured by the thugs that accosted you in the church, but showing free agency like you have, because you're not characters in the play, you are characters inside and outside of it at the same time. You look like you were able to defeat the thugs sent to kidnap you. But Marchand is in charge of this entire fiction, and she wants you captured, or at least stuck here, in order to keep that bridge between your world and the world of the fiction here. Now, I had to pursue her, and that meant I had to insinuate myself into the fiction as well, but to do so without her discovering me, I had to basically split myself off into multiple parts and hide clues within the fiction so that you, whoever it was that became trapped in the fiction with me, could piece me back together so that I could help you thwart Professor Marchand's plan. This is a lot to take in, I know. But the ultimate end of this is that you have reassembled me, and I am also part of the fiction, so I have some limited capacity to affect the fiction. Which means we can find Marchand and try and interrupt what it is she's trying to do, which she is doing even now. She is extending her reach from the fiction to the real world, and no doubt she is starting again the summoning ritual that she was enacting before, trying to call forth whatever it was that she was in contact with, and from the safety of the fiction. If she can call it forth, and using you as a bridge to the real world, whatever it is she's looking to summon can also come through, traveling up that bridge and come forth into the world. So, we need to find her and we need to stop her. But, like I said, I have some agency in this matter, in twisting the fiction. So, we need to find her. So, let me think. We're in Greyhenge. So, Greyhenge, the last time she was here, she tried to use a set of standing stones not far from the outskirts of the city. If we could get there somehow, we could find her and interrupt her ritual. We need a mode of transportation. Does any of you here have a rapid means of transportation? A car, a train, a plane? This would be the point where if Chris were here, Garrow would be able to speak up and go, well, I have piloting. And as it turns out, a pilot character has access to a plane, depending on their credit rating. And with a reasonably high credit rating, Garrow does actually, as a character, have access to a plane that could take you all there. At which point, Johan, or whoever he is, goes, excellent, a plane! That'll get us there really quickly. All we have to do is get on the plane and we can use the fiction to our advantage to transport us there quickly. Alright then. He snaps his fingers and the terrain around you changes to what looks like a small aircraft hangar with a single propeller plane ready and waiting, and as it happens, fueled, ready to take you. So, all piling in to the plane, Garrow gets in behind the pilot's seat, turns on the engine, and off you go. As you take off and start flying through the sky, you notice a city lit beneath you, even though you're on the outskirts now, coming out of the airport and flying into the sky. But the clouds and the sky are now starting to form dense pockets where there's lightning, otherworldly lightning is beginning to flash. and thunder peals all around you. But not far from the city itself, on the outskirts, there is a weird, lurid light emitting from some way off in the distance. And that appears to be where we are going to have to land. Garrow is going to have to make a piloting test, but he's got 10 points in it. So let's say he spends 2 points from his pool in order to make sure he lands Pell, and just as well. Good grief. Alright. So the landing is less than smooth as the plane is being buffeted by the strong winds and the lashing rain. At one point, a lightning bolt careens very, very close to the plane itself and rocks it. And Garrow starts to bring the plane down close to the strange light. And you do come in, but it is a hell of a bumpy landing. Nobody loses any health as a result, but you do come in with a bit of a bump and have to start from a bit further away than you intended. As such, you start to make your way, after you get off of the plane, towards what would have originally been a set of standing stones on a hill. But instead, in the middle of the standing stones appears to be a large stone pillar of incredible proportions and has a large set of stairs that wind around it, and it just seems to go up and up and up without any visible end. It just seems to go up into the sky, eclipsed, the top of which is eclipsed by the clouds. Even from down here, though, you can hear the sound of many voices chanting. So, you have to set about the rather arduous task of surmounting the steps up towards the summit of whatever it is that lies at the top. Eventually, you come to the top, and you find pretty much what you see here. There are...
I didn't see anything.
You don't see anything? Let me take care of that as I increase the opacity of this a little bit. You don't see anything. Why is that? Did I keep that on? I did. Let me take that off. There are 5 hooded, robed individuals that bear the same robes that Phlesc is currently wearing. And they are all with their hands stretched up to the sky, chanting in a circle. Now, the woman that you recognize from the photo you've seen, who was also the woman who was chanting in the art exhibit, but she is stood in the center of this gathering, and she has a large book open before her, and is leading the chant. But of primary concern is not just the fact that there are these individuals chanting some kind of blasphemous litany. There is also a very definite aperture. A portal of some sort is open and is just there. But there is definitely the feeling that something is on its way. A presence the likes of which you cannot quantify but definitely feel, and it feels threatening, immense, and thoroughly, thoroughly evil. So, Johan, as you all ascend the steps and see this vista set before you, Johan says, right, we have to interrupt her casting of this spell. She is trying to summon something through that hole. I can use the book in front of me here, the one that you reassembled and helped me with, but I'm going to need some help doing it. Meanwhile, some others are going to need to try and interrupt their ritual by stopping them from chanting in any way you can.
I have a heavy club.
You do. So,
now you're speaking my language.
Club.
As she's like swinging around this club.
so
I will
Go
stay
on, sorry.
here and help you.
So essentially, what we're dealing with here, as the text that I've written on the screen suggests, there are 2 spells now going to go on, both of them in contest with each other. The one spell is Call Hasta, which is what these guys are doing, and they are trying to complete it. Basically, the ritual, or the spell, has like a hit point total, which for Call Hasta is 15. And the stability is basically, she has the caster, basically this lady here, has to make a stability check with that difficulty number, so 4 and up. And then she rolls to see how much damage she takes off of the inertia, and if it gets down to 0, she completes her spell and calls Hasta. Each of these cultists around her will be contributing in some fashion to allow her to make that stability roll. But it costs 5 of her stability points in order to merely start this. Likewise, Johan is going to be doing a different spell, which is Dismiss Hasta. And this has a slightly higher inertia because Hasta really wants to come through. So you've got a bit more difficulty to get through. So Johan is going to need help doing this. It will cost whoever does the ritual with him 7 health or 14 athletics or fleeing.
I'll do the 7 health.
And it can go either way. So you can, for every point of health, instead of costing you a point of health, you can take off 2 points from either athletics or fleeing or both. So you can kind of mix it up that way. But either way, this is going to require stability. So if you are contributing in some fashion to Johan's spell, he's going to make the stability check, but he is going to want you to cooperate with him, which means you spending points from your stability pool, which, if you remember, you have to spend at least 1 to contribute, but then each point you spend after that 1 just to join the group, is what you will add to the stability roll. Everyone understand that?
Yeah, I've got 6 stability looking at that, so that's contribution
same
of 5.
here.
So those of you with higher stability are probably the ones who will be better at helping out the ritual. Everybody else can try and stop her calling Hasta by stopping her having access to her cultists, who will contribute towards her ability to do stability. Everybody ready?
And we
Cool.
start taking out the cultists and they come back and help later on.
Sure.
Okay.
So, let's do this thing.
Battle has begun.
Hopkins starts things off. So, what do you want to do? You contributing now, or are you going for fisticuffs? You're going to beat somebody with a club.
How many are you?
Somebody with a club. Cool, so it's the same as before. You roll and you roll. So, your to hit roll was a 3, which is success. These guys are not terribly good. You beat the guy with a club. You beat him so hard that he falls over. And when he falls over, the hood peels back, and you realise this cultist has got the same face as the woman in the middle of the chanting circle. But as soon as you knock it down, it just kind of shimmers into a pool of just kind of goo, formless goo, leaving behind nothing but the robe. So that's 1 down. You've taken 1 of her cultists away. Who's next? Gurkow. Gurkow is next. So, what does Neshla want to do? Does she want to aid or does she want to beat?
I'll beat.
Beats of it. Cool. You can reach any character on this area, even the faraway one, with a single move. That's no problem.
Oh,
so,
cool.
Neshla strides away. And she gets a 3, which should be enough to hit the cultist. It is enough to hit the cultist, and she does this calamitously critical shot, which just brains the cultist, making him, her I should say, fall over and again turn into a puddle. Very good. Tavish.
I'm gonna put up the 7 health.
Okay, so basically knock your health down by 7. As even taking part in this spell and helping Johan say the words it drains you physically. It's physically taxing. So you just feel your strength is just being leached out of you as you try and contribute to this. So that's the cost you've paid now to take part in this spell. I am going to now ask you to contribute however many stability points you wish. You have to contribute at least 1 in order to join the stability check that Johan's going to make. Obviously,
So,
contributing
do
2
I-
will give a +1.
Do I, where it says stability, press on stability?
No,
And-
that's your stability points, as in almost like a health thing. If you want to contribute points, go to stability on your character sheet in the general general skills bit. Press stability the word. You'll have the pool rating. Reduce the pool rating down.
Okay, I am going. Well, it's going to be 1 to go in, isn't it?
But that contributes 0 points to the stability check.
I
so
am going to contribute.
1, 2, 3. Wow. So you've contributed 4, 5. Good lordy. All right.
No, that's 4, isn't it? It's not 5, is it?
Well, you've contributed. You've taken 5 points out of your pool, which means you've given a +4 to the stability roll. So yeah, that's cool.
Okay, we'll
Big
stop there.
whopping contribution there. Oof. So I am going to quickly change this, what says pool 0 here, to pool 4 to remind me how much you've contributed. Nice. So that's all Tavish can do. Next up is Garrow. Garrow is going to go in and fisticuff something, so let's do that. As Garrow goes in, he's got no weapons, so he's just going to go... Actually, no, he does have a heavy club now, so he is going to go in, adding a point from his weapons pool, so that he hits and does 4, which means he has taken away another cultist as well. Oof. Another cultist down. Excellent. Well done,
You
Garrow.
are
Now is
next.
Phlesc. What's Phlesc doing?
I mean, if I can come back later, I think I'm just going to try and brain one of the cultists.
All right, yeah, sure. That's absolutely fine.
Ooh.
Whoop, you've selected far too
Whoop,
many
selected
people, so
everyone. Sorry. Or should I try and go for the professor?
You can try and go for the professor if you want.
Let's go for the professor.
Right, Phlesc runs forward for the middle of the circle and rears back with his club. The moment he swings, he finds himself suddenly over here.
Oh. I'll take out the cultist first. So do I still get to
Nevertheless,
attack?
you can still complete your action and try and hit the cultist.
Cool. So let's take a swing with the heavy club.
Yep, so usual thing. That looks like a success to
Ooh.
me. Doing 6. Good grief, you guys are rolling well. Where's this guy? Chester cultist. See, that one. So yeah. Blech. Same thing. Pool of goo that dissolves into nothing, leaves behind nothing but the robes. Well done, Phlesc. Who's
It is your
next?
turn.
Right, we actually get a cultist. Who is going to... Right, things are looking a little fraught here, so we are going to contribute most of our stability to this. What's the data do we need to roll? Either way, that's 2 points. That's a single point of stability. Actually, no. Let's go hog wild. Let's do them all. If you're doing lots, I'm doing lots too. Stability, 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 stability. I don't want to contribute. I want to contribute all of them. All 4 of them. So she now gets 3 points to Cool beans. Who's next?
It will be your turn
Dr. Sut.
next.
Hello.
Sot's turn to either contribute to the spell to dismiss Hasta or to try and beat up a cultist to stop him.
I will contribute. Sorry, the dog's
That's fine.
barking in the background.
So Sot has a choice of either paying a cost in 7 health, or rather, for every point he doesn't want to pay in health, he can take 2 points out of the athletics or fleeing pools he's got.
I guess I'll go with health. So I was struggling to hear you a bit there, but I've got
Okay.
I've not been hit once so far. So
Cool. So take away 7 health. That should take you down to 5. So basically, the same thing as with Tavish. Sop feels it being physically very taxing to contribute to this spell that's being cast. So that's the cost of starting it. Now, how much stability from his pool does Sop want to contribute?
I'll go with 3.
Okay, so you've spent 3 points from your stability pool, yes? Or did you want to
I
spend
have
4
now,
in order
yeah.
to gain a boost of 3?
I've just spent 3 from 5 to 2.
Spent 3, so that goes to rule of 6. You guys have got in your favor now. Okay, cool.
It's
Brings
your
us
turn.
to Johan. Alright, so Johan has got 6 to add to this roll he makes. Let's see how we do. So that is, the stability roll was 4, he got a 9, so cool, which means the damage he does to the inertia is not good.
Oh.
Not good at all, but that's 7 away from 25, which leaves us with 8. Alright, what about
It is
her?
your turn.
It's now Esme Michonne's turn, and she is going to roll +3. This is her stability check. Which is 6 is success, which means the amount of damage she does to inertia is also really low. So she only takes 4 off, but because hers, she has got a lot less far to go than you do in order to complete hers. But those pools now revert back to 0 because all the points to increase them have been spent as we start a new round. Everyone getting the general gist of where this is going?
It's your turn.
So,
Cool. So it's Hopkins' turn for round 2. What does Hopkins want to do? Bash the last cultist? Go for the doc herself, or... Okay, bash the last cultist.
Well, she's gonna try for here, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna end up over here.
If she does
Would-
go for Michonne, then yes, Hopkins blips over to the last cultist. I neglected to mention, actually, as round 1 ends, you get a note from the captain saying, which does come through to you, saying that the invasive program is trying to access the main deflector and is setting up some kind of weird harmonic resonance which is vibrating through subspace. In the meantime, Hopkins hit a dude and did 2, which was not enough to fell the cultist. So now we go to Gurkhan. Neshlel, there's 1 cultist remaining.
I think I'll help Johan.
Okay, so Neshlel can dive over to that group. First thing you need to do is pay a cost either in health or in athletics fleeing. Fleeing. Which would you rather?
I think it's got to be help. I don't have enough fleeing for this.
Okay, so you drop down to 1 health. Good lordy.
Whew.
Price you pay for contributing to this. So now Neshlel can contribute some points from her stability pool to help.
I'll contribute 2 points. Actually 3.
3, so that gives a +2. Cool, nice. Ruve, that's all Neshlel can do for now. Lily Tavish. Now you don't have to expend the health thing more than once. That's it. It's done. You've paid the cost. Now you can just get on with doing the stability contribution. However, Tavish only has 1 point left in stability, which is not enough to make any kind of point difference.
No.
So she doesn't really have enough points to contribute towards the stability check anymore. She blew her load in 1 shot. Almost. There is one cultist remaining with only a couple of hit points left, and you do have a club.
I don't have a club.
You don't have a club? No, you don't. Okay.
But I will go over there and smack somebody.
Yay. Alright, let's see how you do. Remember, you can spend points from when you do it to try and up your to hit damage if you want to.
Yeah, why not?
So when you go to equipment and see fist kick,
yeah,
you can use the plus button to add points from the scuffling pool to add more.
I'm going to put 2 on there.
So just put +2, which should change the number next to the dice from +0 to +2, and just roll from there. Bada boop, bada boop. So that is a successful hit, but only doing 1. The cultist is still kicking. Who's next? Garrow. Well, Garrow's not going to leave this undone. Or, hang on, what's Garrow's stability? Garrow has only 4 stability. Would you rather him attack the last cultist or join in with Johan?
Join in with Johan.
Okay,
Oh, but if we knock out the cultist, she won't get a bonus to a roll.
No. Who's the best out of Garrow and Phlesc in stability?
Oh, my stability is 6.
Garrow's stability is 4.
I can contribute more.
Okay, let Garrow hit him.
Cool.
Yeah.
Garrow's going to use a point from his weapons pool again, which means it's a miss, I'm afraid. Oh, I didn't contribute enough. Dang it.
It will be your turn next.
Phlesc!
I mean, we've got a pool of 2 already. I'd rather stop her from getting more.
Yeah, any more. Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Phlesc, hit her. Hit the cultist.
Let's get a cultist done. I'm going to use the heavy club, but I'm also going to take a point from scuffle.
Cool. So just next to where it says heavy club, there should be a plus minus. Get the plus.
I can't change it. Do I have anything in scuffle?
Which means there's no points left in the weapons pool.
No, I don't. There's a weapon. Right, just roll for the heavy club.
Yep.
Oh god.
That's good. The damage is teensy weensy, but it's enough to take away the final point.
Ooh.
The last cultist is gone. Dr. Esme Merchant seems rather perplexed by this and is very, very worried.
You are next.
Sot. What does Dr. Sot want to do? I mean, if he's still got stability points remaining.
I think I'd like to have this dance. Fisticuffs. Oh, the club,
Righty.
actually, isn't it?
Yes, it's going to be scuffling or the heavy club, depending on what you want to use. Or rather,
Heavy club, just the dice, yeah.
just if you don't want to put any points into it, then yes.
Oh, can I put how do I put points in? Is the plus
So
symbol?
where it says heavy club, there should be a plus button.
Mm-hmm.
You can. So that represents the weapons pool.
Okay. I can put 1 point in. I'll do that.
Okay. Ooh, that's good. Which means you go. 6 is a definite hit, doing 2 damage. So she's still up. She's still fighting. She's still concentrating on her spell as much as she can. But Sot did lay in a shot there, so that was very good.
It's your turn.
Now it's Johan's turn. Johan has got a assisting pool of 2, so let's go. Let's see how he does. Oh, that's not good.
Oh.
It's your turn.
As for her, right. She cannot stop on the spell, so she's just going to have to concentrate on the spell. She has no extra pool. It's all down to her stability check. Oh. She is going to contribute points from her own pool. She rolls a 2, gets a 5, which was enough, which means she gets to roll again. Oops, a daisy. 1, 2, 3. How much much damage does she do? She does a lot. She does 8. She's close to completing her spell.
We need to beat her down.
Get it, lads! Get it!
Pile in.
I was gonna say, next round, have a look, people pile in, but also have people with go over to give stability as well.
Right. Round 3 begins. The captain says that there's now a strange aperture appearing in front of the combs, now that the deflector array appears to be opening some kind of subspace rift. And you guys can definitely feel something very close to coming through on this end too. Sanity checks, please. Because you can feel this overwhelmingly evil presence coming from the other side of the aperture, and it's growing closer. So everyone who rolled beneath a 4 loses another point of sanity. As you feel your grip on reality slacking. Hopkins, what do you want to do?
Alright. Let me go help him real fast.
Okay, so you need to pay a cost of 7 health or 2 points from athletics or fleeing per cost of health you don't point of health you don't want to pay.
Okay. So I should have 5 health left, right? 1,
Yes.
2, 3, 4. Alright. And stability.
Yes, please.
I use 1 to join. So 1, 2. 6. You know what? Let's go with all 12.
All 12, my god. Okay, so that means you add 11 in total to the pool, good lordy. Throwing everything you've got into it. Gurkow.
I'm gonna beat that professor with a bat. Oh,
Why not go with the classics?
no weapon, so come on, die.
Come on, go.
That's
Oh
a swing
no!
and a miss. That is a swing and a miss, I am afraid. A bolt of lightning crashes in front of you, blinds you temporarily, and you swing and miss. Tavish.
Over here. I'm gonna slap her.
Alrighty.
Yes, bitch slap her.
I am also gonna put some.
Shuffling, please.
I'm gonna put the rest of my scuffling in as well.
Alrighty.
So I've got a +4 on my dice.
Alrighty. Go for it. That is a definite hit, doing... Oh, doesn't look right. But it's still a point off. Oomph. Damage was only 1, I am afraid.
She's a tank.
Garrow. Garrow's going to do the same. He's not going to... Unless you want him to go towards adding stability.
No. Let him
Beat her
hit.
down.
Smackdown.
Right. Garrow is going to throw the last point of his weapons pool into this. That is a hit, doing 2 damage. She is still up.
Do we want Phlesc going over there?
Well, this is the question.
Well,
Make ready.
we got
Your
11 in the
turn
pool,
comes.
Yeah.
so we're doing pretty well. Like, it will succeed.
Hopkins came through
Yeah.
like no one's business there.
I'm gonna take a swing with the bat.
Cool.
Oh, come on, hit.
That,
Being
was a hit.
mathematical.
Oh!
That did 2. She's still up with only 1 point left in her health pool. She's been
Let the shot
battered,
come on.
clubbed and smacked. She's got blood pouring from her mouth.
It will be
She's still
your turn
determined
next.
to stand up. Sot, can you finish this?
Come on!
Do I have scuffling? Where's scuffling again? Sorry. Ability. Okay,
So
I'm
it's not
gonna use
scuffling.
both of
If you
my
go for
scuffling. I have 2.
If you go for equipment, you should be able to add points to fist kick, which will draw from your scuffling pool.
Cool. Well, I'm on -2 to start with. This will be fun.
That's
Okay.
yes, that's the damage it's doing. Is always going to be automatically -2. But even if you do just 1 point,
Oh no!
you do 1 point.
Oh.
I always go with at least 1 point because you can't do -1. You're not going to give her health back from slapping.
As I was swing and hit myself in the face, you know.
So yes, by everybody's clubbing her and smacking her around, Sop to Sop comes in with a chinning punch that catches her on the back of the head. She goes spinning around and falls prone on the floor.
That felt like a bit of a kill steal, I won't lie.
Well, it was
Just
all
right
of
at
you
the end.
contributing at the end. So she's down, but the ritual still needs to be finished.
It is your turn.
Johan's turn, so plus 11. Good, lordy lords. Let's do this. All or nothing. So Hopkins is putting as much power as she can into the pronunciation of all these weird alien vowels, and it can't help but fail 15. So let's see.
Oh!
Almost. In one go, almost. But now that you've got no more competition, as it were, you are able to go into the next round with no opposition whatsoever, so I can easily see how many folks have got points remaining left in stability.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got 6.
I've only got 1, so I'm going to stay here with the princess. Professor.
So Garrow is going to throw... He's going to put 3 points in. As in, he put all 4 of his points in and therefore gets a +3. What's Phlesc putting into this?
Well, I've got 6. I'll put all 6 in, so that's +5.
Yep, so that's an 8 we're up to. Cool. Gurkow?
I can contribute 3 points.
So that's a 2 in total, but still 10. Wicked. And lastly, Sot.
I have 2, I think, if I'm looking at this correctly.
So you've got 2 points remaining in your stability pool?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent, so that's an extra 1. So we're back up to 11. So let's do this one more time. I mean, the number is a guaranteed success. But how much damage do we do? It's a guaranteed. Even if I roll a 1, we still do 12. You succeed. The final syllables are uttered, and there is an almighty growl which seems to echo from beyond space and time itself as you hear something utter a wail of utter frustration. For a moment, it looks like something is on the other side of the aperture and it's going to reach through and try and grab you and take you with it. But then the aperture starts to close and the last thing you see is an image of an oval, long, clawed hand of immense proportions is starting to reach toward the aperture, but not before it slams shut. There is a final bolt of lightning that illuminates the entire vista around you, but not before everything falls quiet. And you find yourselves back on the holodeck with a very, very surprised Lieutenant Commander Zhang, who just turns around all of a sudden and you're there. Oh my god!
Ow!
After this, we're gonna have a nice talk.
I don't think this was the lieutenant's fault.
No, but still. Next time you do something like this, you're joining us.
How about we delete that hologram hologram program and make sure that the rest of Starfleet knows about this?
Can we alert all the other ships except for the Navis?
I applaud.
Oh, yeah. We'll give this to the Navis. You know, they deserve this.
Yeah. And she's gonna look at both Tavish and Kirkus like, so next time. Bats?
No. I'm done with holograms. Holodecks.
Okay. So basically, you all come out of the holodeck really quickly and keenly. You're all taken directly to sickbay because some of you do have definite wounds. Some of you are suffering from exhaustion as well from pouring so much of yourselves into whatever it was that happened. Apparently, as soon as you finished the magical spell, the aperture that had been created in subspace suddenly stopped. The strange program that was slowly seizing control of the Combs' systems stopped and allowed your crew to isolate the program, separate it, firewall it off, and yes, delete it. But just as you guys are getting a look over in sickbay, Captain Sobek walks in and tells you that just before the aperture in subspace collapsed in on itself, there was a momentary seizing of the communications array by the invasive program, and it emitted some kind of pulse or wave or carrier wave signal that disappeared into the unknown layers of subspace. Whether it was a call or a communication or a message of some sort is unclear, because the program, the invasive program, erased the evidence after it was done. But it seemed to penetrate right down into the deep layers of subspace before the sensors were unable to get a read on how far down it was going. And that brings us to the end of our Halloween episode. It did run over by quite a considerable amount, but I think it was needed to go a little bit longer because this was a very special episode. So thank you very much to my players for joining in.
Thank you very much for running it. It was brilliant.
Cheers, thank you.
Whew, that was my first foray into Cthulhu and Lovecraft and all of that stuff, so there we go. The system that we were using was Trail of Cthulhu, and needless to say, because of the time constraints we had, I didn't get to use everything from the rules as written. There is substantially more to it, but the crux of it was what we used. Finding clues and things like using the pools and stuff like that, and all that nonsense. But here we are.
And bonking cultists.
Bonking cultists over the head with a club. Let's finish that sentence. So,
I think bonking cultists adds a whole new meaning to the word Lovecraft.
Well done, Chris. That was fantastic. Remind me to give you a bonus on your next skill roll in next week's regular scheduled programming for that.
Thanks, man. I'm glad I peaked now, just at the end of the episode. It's all good. It's all downhill from here.
You've been on point actually all today, so
yes.
Who knows?
Thank you kindly.
Well, yes, this has been quite an exhausting 4 hours, so I hope everybody enjoyed it. I hope everybody who tuned in enjoyed watching it. If you're watching this on YouTube afterwards, this was great fun, actually. I'm going to
YouTube
this again. But for the moment, I am going to say thank you very much for tuning in. And rather than our regular tune out, I'm going to steal from Count Duckula and say, look after yourselves wherever you are, especially in these crazy, crazy times. Happy Halloween, everybody, and good night out there, whatever you are. Toodles, guys. We'll see you later.
Join the army.